The neon lights of interstellar slums flicker like a staccato pulse in the eternal acid rain. Arthur squatted under the rusty iron shed, his hands covered with engine oil, staring at the pile of scrapped mecha remains in front of him. The remains of the engine were still roaring, like a dying beast gasping, and the surrounding air was filled with the pungent smell of metal corrosion. The residents of the slums staggered back from the military bureau's recruitment station dragging their exhausted bodies. Another group of people were stuffed into cheap mechas produced by noble families and sent to the border to be cannon fodder to fight against the invasion fleet of the alien empire. "Boy, are you still doing that junk?" A strong man with a beard passed by, spat out bloody phlegm, and glanced mockingly at Arthur's workshop, which was actually a pile of parts picked up from the junkyard. The Patent Office of the Federal Military Service only recognizes the blueprints of nobles. How many star coins is the ghost drawing talisman of your useless loser worth? Wake up, the alien devils will destroy this ghost place tomorrow. Arthur did not raise his head, and his thin face looked pale in the blue light of the projection screen. He gritted his teeth and let his fingers fly on the virtual drawing board. Those ridicules pierced his heart like knives. He had heard enough since he was a child. His father died in the explosion of a cheap mecha, and his mother died of overwork in the factory. He was left alone in this hell cave, secretly drawing blueprints based on the knowledge he stole from the black market. The aristocratic family monopolizes all advanced technologies, and their mecha upgrades are like the secrets of the feudal dynasty, only for their own children to enjoy. Civilian. You can only open those iron coffins with fixed configurations. After a battle, you will narrowly escape death. Outside the shed, the thunderous roar of engines pierced the night sky. A federal patrol ship passed over the sky and dropped a promotional holographic image. Miss Freya, the pride of the Cullen family, had just submitted a quantum shield upgrade patent, and the top brass of the military bureau personally presented the award. In the image, the blonde aristocratic engineer stood proudly, and the mecha blueprint was as bright as a work of art. Civilians, thank the Federation for its gift. Her voice was sweet but full of contempt. Passers-by sighed in envy, and some whispered, if we had such a blueprint, we would have done something wrong a long time ago. Arthur's fists were clenched and turned white. Quantum shield. This nonsense is just packaging of old technology. The blueprint in his hand is the revolution, the modular upgrade system. The mecha can instantly replace weapon modules, armor plates, and even thrusters. With just one click of docking, it can switch from an assault type to a defensive fortress or a high-speed pursuer. This is not a rigid fixed upgrade like that of nobles, but a living, evolving iron-blooded behemoth. But who believes it? The military bureau is extremely corrupt, and the review officers are all aristocratic lackeys. A civilian's application cannot even get through the door. The door curtain opened, and a slender figure broke in, and the rain slid down the black windbreaker. Eve took off her hood, revealing long wet chestnut hair, and her beautiful face had a tired but determined light. She is a rare lawyer in the slums who specializes in helping the lower-class people fight patent lawsuits, but even she has never seen such a blueprint. Arthur, I heard that you are drawing like crazy again. Someone is paying a high price for your sketches on the black market, but you won't sell them? Arthur raised his head, warning flashing in his eyes. Eve, these are not sketches. This is something that can change the war. He activated the projection, and the holographic blueprints poured out like a galaxy. The module interfaces were as sophisticated as neural networks, and each component flashed with data flow. Look here, the weapon module can be replaced in 1 second, switching from particle cannon to electromagnetic whip. The armor can dynamically reinforce weak points, the thruster supports multi-mode, curved space jump. The blueprint of the nobles is dead, mine can make the mecha come alive. Eve came closer, her almond-shaped eyes widened and her breathing quickened. She is a patent attorney and has seen countless blueprints, but this is simply a fusion of art and science. Oh my God, the accuracy of this interface isn't even 0.01 micron error. How is it possible? How can you, a guy living in a slum, draw such a monster? Her fingers trembled as she touched the projection, her voice full of disbelief. The Military Bureau has never approved civilian modular patents. They said it would subvert the order. But if you prove it works. Before he finished speaking, the workshop door was kicked open. Kevin bursts in, his tall and hot-blooded body blocking the rain. He is Arthur's best friend, a retired mecha pilot, and his arms are full of tattoos flashing in the light. Boss. 3 more fortresses have been lost on the border. The alien empire's fleet is coming with new mechas. Those noble mechas. They break when touched. When are we going to test fly this thing? Kevin's eyes glanced at the blueprint, his rough face froze instantly, and his pupils dilated like copper bells. Holy shit, what the hell is this? Module replacement? I have been driving mechas for 10 years, and I have never seen such a perverted design. Arthur stood up with a sneer on his lips. How do you know if you don't try? Kevin, activate the simulation cabin. I want to prove it to you. In the center of the dilapidated workshop, a simulation cabin pieced together from the black market suddenly activated. The metal hatch opened like the mouth of a giant beast, and the engine roared, making the ground tremble. Kevin got in first and buckled the cockpit awkwardly, sweat sliding down his forehead. Boss, can this scrap cabin withstand your crazy design? If it explodes, I won't risk my life with you. Eve retreated to the wall, her heart beating like a drum, and she clenched her hands. Arthur, slow down. Arthur injected the blueprint data, and on the simulation screen, a virtual mecha stood on the interstellar battlefield, 30 meters high, with thick armor like a mountain, and shoulder cannons ready to fire. How do ordinary mecha pilots fly? The steering is stiff and the engine roars on overdrive. But Arthur's design integrates man and machine, the neural link is directly connected to the brain, and thinking is the command. Start. Arthur shouted. In the simulated battlefield, the alien fleet is like a black cloud, and laser nets are pouring down. Kevin gritted his teeth to control, the mecha dodged awkwardly, and the armor plates were melted. Damn! The standard mecha can't stand it. His voice came from the cabin, trembling with despair. Change module. Arthur's fingers flew and the blueprint was activated. With a loud click, the right arm of the virtual mecha bounced off, the particle cannon fell off, and the electromagnetic whip wound up like a poisonous snake. The thruster module rotates, ejecting blue plasma flames, and the body passes through the laser net like lightning. In the cabin, Kevin's eyes widened, his mouth opened in an O shape, and his chin almost hit the control column. What the hell does this feel like? As soon as I think about it, it changes. The roar of the engine is like a heartbeat, and I feel like I am this iron guy. His voice broke with excitement, and the handle was almost crushed. The mecha dived, the electromagnetic whip cracked an alien battleship, and the fragments scattered like fireworks. Then, the armor module is instantly reinforced and can withstand missile bombardment without moving at all. Eve's pretty face turned pale, her legs became weak, and she sat down against the wall. Impossible, this efficiency is 10 times faster than Freya's quantum shield. Kevin, your heart rate has jumped 200 and you are still laughing. She stared at the monitor screen, the data was beating wildly, and Kevin's laughter echoed in the workshop. Boss. This blueprint of yours is a miracle. I have flown the noble prototype before, and I have never experienced the feeling of man-machine becoming one. The engine is as thick as a landslide, but as flexible as a ghost. The simulation ended, the hatch popped open, and Kevin stumbled out, his eyes bloodshot, kneeling down and gasping for air. Arthur, you are a fucking genius. Once this system is put on the battlefield, all the aliens will kneel down. We will apply for a patent right away. If the Military Bureau refuses to approve it, I will knock down their door. Eve wiped the tears of excitement from her eyes and stood up, her voice trembling but firm. Yes. Arthur, let me help you. I have seen too many corrupt applications destroyed, but this blueprint is impeccable. We will submit it tomorrow for a hearing at the Federal Patent Office." She held Arthur's hand, her eyes shining with admiration. At that moment, the haze of the slums seemed to be torn apart. Early the next morning, the three of them piled onto the dilapidated maglev train and went straight to the military bureau building. Huge buildings stand like steel fortresses, and noble spaceships are constantly coming and going. In front of the submission counter, a fat reviewer glanced at the blueprint and sneered. "Modularization for civilians? This is ridiculous. Ms. Freya of the Quarren family only approved the patent, so get out of here." But Eve threw out the evidence, Kevin punched the table, and Arthur calmly presented the simulated data. The reviewer's face turned pale and he had no choice but to stamp it. "Hearing, in 3 days. Stop dreaming." As they left, they didn't notice that in the shadows, a spy in black activated the communicator and whispered, "Target confirmed. Modular blueprint, Miss Freya will handle it personally." 3 days later, the hearing room was brightly lit. High-level officials gathered, and Freya walked in. Her blonde hair was like a waterfall, and her aristocratic robes were shining. She stared at Arthur and the three of them, her red lips curled into a mocking arc. "A toy of the poor dares to challenge the Quarren family. Auditors, let me personally verify this rubbish blueprint." Her voice was like an ice blade passing through. The nobles in the hall burst into laughter. Kevin clenched his fist, Eve turned pale, and Arthur, there was war in his eyes. Eve took a deep breath, her pretty face was pale but she stood up straight. She threw out the holographic scroll from the portable data terminal, and blue light poured down like the Milky Way. Her voice was crisp, but with a suppressed tremor. "Dear reviewers, the core of this patent lies in the nano self-assembly interface. Traditional mecha upgrades require several hours of disassembly. Noble blueprints such as Miss Freya's quantum shield are fixed and rigid, and can be discarded after one battle. Our system allows module replacement in just a few minutes. The nanoworm swarm automatically docks and fuses with 0 error. Weapons are fused from grain to grain. The sub-cannon instantly replaces the electromagnetic whip, the armor dynamically reorganizes its weak points, and the thrusters support curved space jumps. Man and machine are integrated, and the neural link is directly connected to the driver's brain. Thinking is action." She clicked her finger, and the projection enlarged the interface details. The nanoworms rotated like micronebulae. The snickers of the nobles suddenly stopped, and someone frowned and came closer. "This, self-assembly? It sounds like alien black technology." Freya snorted coldly and stepped forward, her blonde hair looking like poisonous snake scales under the light. She waved her hand to summon the blueprint projection of her quantum shield. The blue shield was like a crystal barrier, huge and dazzling. "Joke. Nano self-assembly? The energy consumption will explode the cabin. Can junk parts from slums support this theory? Reviewers, our Karen family has not failed in patents for 10 years. This guy is just plagiarizing scraps." Her eyes were like knives, sweeping over them. Among the three Arthurs, Kevin's fists had veins popping out, and he gritted his teeth and growled, "Noble bitch, stop talking nonsense. Let me try it out for you on the spot." There was an uproar in the hall, and an old nobleman stroked his beard and laughed. "Test drive? This is a hearing hall, not your poor workshop." While they were making a fuss, the hall door suddenly opened, and a cold figure broke in. Colonel Shirley, a federal officer in a straight uniform, with silver shoulder straps shining like stars, and a face as stern as a sculpture under his short hair. She is the investigation team leader of the military bureau, responsible for reviewing the effectiveness of border mechas. She heard about the civilian patent controversy and came here personally. That's enough. Miss Freya, the Karen family has been monopolizing it for a long time, and the Federation needs new blood. My preliminary investigation revealed that the simulation data of this blueprint is abnormal. The efficiency is 5 times higher than the standard mecha. Slum boy, how did you draw the nano interface? Did you steal it from the black market? Her purpose. The light was like thunder, locking on Arthur, and the officials in the hall gasped, and someone whispered, Colonel Shirley questioned it personally, this kid is dead. Kevin's blood surged, Colonel. It was not stolen, it was born from the genius brain of the boss. Let me open a prototype and show it to you. In the hearing hall, the air was like solid lead. The silk robes of aristocratic officials shone coldly under the crystal chandelier. The high-backed seats were arranged in a semicircle, overlooking the central demonstration platform. The projection screen is like the eye of a giant beast, projecting Arthur's blueprint sketch. The module interface is as precise as a living vein, pulsating. The data flows slightly. Freya's laughter was still echoing, and the nobles in the hall echoed and whispered, public graffiti, is it also worthy of a patent wall? A fat reviewer pushed up his gold-rimmed glasses and banged his gavel, Miss Karen, since you volunteered, please, verify this, Mr. Arthur's application. Lawyer Eve, submit detailed documents. Shirley frowned and glanced at the giant holographic simulation cabin in the hall, a standard feature of the patent office, used for high-level verification. She nodded, okay. Kevin, a retired pilot, has qualified qualifications. Start a simple prototype simulation to prove module switching. If it fails, the application will be destroyed. Freya curled her red lips, interesting, let the poor dig their own graves. The battlefield unfolded, and a fleet of alien spies attacked in a small scale, 3 stealth reconnaissance boats, lasers rained down, simulating a border raid perfectly. What would a standard mecha do? Turning awkwardly, the engine roared with overload, the driver was sweating, and the handle slipped. Kevin took initial control, the mecha dodges stiffly, a laser grazed the armor, and sparks flew everywhere. Damn! It's like opening an iron coffin. His roar was full of despair. Shirley crossed her arms and sneered, see? Designed by poor people, it can't last more than a minute. Freya covered her mouth and chuckled, and the nobles nodded, it's really rubbish. Eve pinched her fingers into her palms, but Arthur's eyes were calm and he whispered, change the module. Nano interface, turn on. Click. There was a loud bang like thunder, the virtual mecha's right arm bounced off, the particle cannon fell off, the nanobug cloud surged, the self-assembled electromagnetic whip wrapped around it instantly, and the whip body twisted like a living snake. The thruster module rotated, blue plasma flames roared and exploded, and the machine body passed through the laser net like a ghost, its thick body yet extremely flexible. In the hall, a young aristocratic engineer's eyes widened, and the wine glass in his hand fell. The shattering sound was harsh, the turning radius is 0.5 seconds. The engine load is only 60%. Kevin's voice burst out from the cabin, and he burst into laughter, fuck. Boss, this is fucking flying. As soon as he thinks, the whip is pulled out. When man and machine are integrated, it feels like I am this iron monster, my heartbeat is synchronized with the engine, and the roar goes straight to my forehead. The mecha dived, and the first alien scout boat was torn apart by the electromagnetic whip. The fragments exploded like fireworks, and the energy core collapsed. The nobles gasped, and an auditor rubbed his eyes and murmured, nano self-assembly, really reorganized the armor in 3 minutes. Arthur gave an impromptu order, defense modules, trap layout. The blueprint sketch was projected, and his fingers outlined the temporary design, laying nano mines on the ground to simulate the slum environment. The mecha stepped on it, and the insects swarmed out, forming an electromagnetic net trap. The second spy boat crashed into it and was instantly paralyzed, with flames shooting into the sky. Kevin shouted, "It's cool. These Japanese spies are like flies to fire. My mecha has changed from a stupid cow to a fierce tiger." Shirley's stern face cracked, her pupils shrunk, and her fists clenched unconsciously. Data, the knockback efficiency is 98%, 3 times higher than the Karen quantum shield. Why did this kid improvise the blueprint in the hull? Freya's face was livid, and the veins on her forehead under her blonde hair were pulsing. She rushed forward, pointed at the projection and screamed, "Cheating! This trap is a temporary graffiti violation. The military bureau suppresses the application. The Quarren family will not let civilians subvert the order." Eve counterattacked and threw out the submission record. "Colonel, the document has been refined, the nano-interface patent is original. Bureaucratic difficulties are ineffective." The hall was chaotic, the nobles were whispering, and someone shouted in admiration, "The genius of the poor, the heavy roar of the engine, but the man and the machine are the same, terrifying." The last spy boat tried to escape. The propellers of Kevin's mecha roared, space warped and jumped, teleportation intercepted, the electromagnetic whip penetrated the boat, and the aftermath of the explosion shook the holographic screen. At the end of the simulation, the cabin door popped open, and Kevin stumbled out, his face bloodshot, and he knelt down and laughed, "Boss. This blueprint of yours is like killing a chicken to repel a small-scale attack." "Nobles, are you dumbfounded?" Shirley stepped forward, her voice rarely trembling. "Arthur, this prototype is urgently needed at the federal border. I withdraw my doubts, but it needs to be verified on a real machine." The noble's eyes changed from mocking to doubtful, and someone murmured, "He avoided Freya's spy surveillance and painted defense modules while training. This civilian is not simple." The simulation cabin woke up like a steel behemoth, the thick metal doors slowly opened, and the engine roared like an underground volcano, making the floor buzz. The nobles in the hall retreated, and some people turned pale. No nobles need this old cabin. Kevin strode in, fastened the neural link with his thick arms, beads of sweat rolled down, and a voice came from the loudspeaker, trembling with excitement, "Boss, inject the blueprint. These aristocratic dogs look down on others." Arthur's fingers flew, terminal data surged, and the virtual mecha stood on the projected battlefield, a 30-meter steel body, layers of armor as high as mountains, the particle cannon on the shoulders hummed with energy, and the engine tail flame was as thick as lava. The air in the hall seemed to be tightened by invisible iron pliers, and every trace of oxygen smelled of gunpowder. The noble officials' whispers were like poisonous snakes spitting messages, and their eyes were all locked on the holographic simulation cabin in the center. The steel behemoth still had the heat wave from the test flight just now. The residual heat of the engine caused the surrounding floor to twist slightly, and the air was filled with the pungent smell of burning metal. Freya's red lips twisted into an arc of victory, her blonde hair flew, and she waved her hand to summon the data terminal. Under the crystal chandelier on the ceiling, a huge holographic projection burst out, her quantum mecha, Karen's Wrath. Its 40-meter steel body was like a crystal fortress, with shields stacked on top of each other. Blue light veins were like running blood. When the shoulder cannon was charging, it made a low hum, like an interstellar beast waking up. "Watch it, poor man's trash." Freya's voice was as sharp as a firecracker exploding. With a flick of her finger, the projector armor slowly turned around, the quantum shields at its joints flashed adaptively, and the engine exhaust flames spurted thickly, and the rumble shook the wine glasses in the hall. This is the result of 10 years of patents of the Quarren family. Quantum shield, zero loss in energy circulation, propeller to bend space, turning radius of 0.2 seconds. Can your nano graffiti withstand one of my shots? She turned to the auditors, her eyes arrogantly swept over the three Arthurs. "Colonel, activate the dual mode. My mecha will fight against his semi-finished prototype. People know what aristocratic blood is." The nobles burst into laughter, and a fat reviewer nodded. "Miss Karen is right, the simulation cabin is loaded with two-plane battle, alien pirate fleet simulation, 5 heavy cruisers, standard border crisis." Another old noble whispered, "Prototype of the poor. I was lucky just now, this time it was crushed into a discus." Colonel Shirley crossed her arms across her chest, frowning slightly on her stern face. Her eyes wandered between Arthur's blueprint projection and Freya's mecha. Her voice was cold and cold. "I agree to the duel. But the rules are strict, the module switching cannot exceed 5 minutes, otherwise it will be deemed invalid. Kevin, come on. If you fail, the application will be destroyed. Kevin smashed his fist into his palm, grinned, and strode into the mold with his thick body. In the virtual cabin, sweat slid down his forehead. When the neural link was connected, he growled, "Boss, inject the half-finished blueprint. Make this aristocratic bitch cry for father and mother." Arthur's fingers flew like lightning on the terminal, data flow poured like the Milky Way, and the virtual battlefield unfolded. In dark space, 5 cruisers of alien pirates rushed like black shadows, laser cannon arrays roared, and energy beams poured down like heavy rain. The nobles in the hull retreated, and some people turned pale. 5 heavy cruisers. With this cabin type, even the prototype nobles have to kneel. The engine in the cabin roared and exploded, as thick as the Earth's crust cracking. Kevin's prototype mecha stood on the battlefield. The 30-meter steel body dodged awkwardly at first. The first laser grazed the armor, sparks flew everywhere, and the debris hit the edge of the projection screen like meteors. Kevin's voice came out from the loudspeaker, with gritted teeth and despair, "Fuck. The black market parts are so bad, the joints are stuck, it's like driving a rusty tractor." Freya laughed, and projected her quantum mecha into the battlefield. The shield unfolded like a blue dome, the propeller exploded, and the tail flame was as thick as lava. It easily skidded sideways to intercept a pirate ship. The shoulder cannon blasted out, and the quantum beam penetrated the enemy ship. The aftermath of the explosion made the holographic screen buzz. "See? Poor boy, your prototype can't even survive the warm-up. Reviewer, end it." The nobles applauded, and a young engineer taunted, "The engine overload warning is on, and the cabin will explode in half a minute." Eve pinched her fingers into her palms, her knuckles turned white, but Arthur's eyes were as calm as the abyss, and he whispered, "Kevin, hold on. Module number 1, replace the heavy cannon. Nano interface, fully open." Click. There was a loud noise like Thor's hammer hitting the ground, the right arm of the prototype mecha bounced off, the nanobug cloud surged like black mist, the particle cannon fell off and was instantly replaced by a heavy plasma cannon, the barrel self-assembled and stretched, and the algorithm at the joints flashed, adaptive bending, perfectly fitting the driving thinking. In the hall, an aristocratic reviewer's eyes widened, and his gold-rimmed glasses slid down the bridge of his nose. "Is this, joint adaptive? The nanoworms are reorganizing the molecular chain and merging with zero delay." Kevin roared, his voice breaking with ecstasy, "Fuck. Boss, this cannon is as heavy as a mountain, but it's as big as my arm. So flexible. Man and machine are integrated into one, and as soon as the head is heated, the muzzle is aimed. The thruster module rotates, blue plasma flames roar like a volcanic eruption, the thick body tears through the vacuum, and dives like a teleport. The first pirate ship is blasted into a fireball by the plasma cannon, and the debris fills the space like fireworks. Freya's face changed suddenly, and her pupils under her blonde hair shrank into needles. Her quantum mecha tried to intercept, the shield buzzed to block the laser rain, but it was flanked by the prototype. The joint adaptive algorithm made the prototype twist like a ghost, and the tail flame was thick and trailing the afterimage. "Impossible. Your engine load is only 70%. She screamed, and the nobles gasped. An old engineer stood up tremblingly, pointing his finger at the projection. "Look at the thruster exploding. The curved space jump, the semi-finished parts have no vibration attenuation. This civilian blueprint is a subversive thing. Makes sense." Kevin laughed, and the prototype was instantly replaced with an energy shield module. The nanobug cloud enveloped the body, and the shield surface flowed like liquid metal, blocking the 2 pirates' joint fire. At the same time, the heavy artillery fired continuously, destroying the 3rd enemy ship. The explosion shock wave caused Freya's mecha to roll and cracks in the shield flashed. Change defense traps. Ground nano-ores. Arthur improvised and sketched out the details of the blueprint, publicly projecting part of the interface algorithm, the adaptive joint formula, causing the nobles to swarm closer. Some people whispered, "This formula, dynamic optimization of energy distribution, Sharon's shield is 10 years behind." Freya's chest heaved violently with anger, and the data terminal secretly scanned and stole it, but ignored it. She controlled the quantum mecha to counterattack, and the quantum beam whipped out like a long blue whip. Go to hell. The prototype energy shield was carried hard, ripples spread out on the shield surface. Kevin thought suddenly, the module switching thruster was overloaded, the tail flame roared like a nuclear explosion, the mecha hit like a meteorite, the joints adaptively bent 90 degrees, sideways to avoid the tip of the whip, and the heavy artillery hit the core of Freya's shield. Boom! The blue light shattered, the quantum mecha staggered back, the engine whined and overloaded, the ridicule of the nobles in the hall turned into dead silence. A fat official rubbed his eyes and muttered, "Crushed." 3 pirates were not damaged, and the Freya mecha shield was shattered by 70%. Colonel Shirley's stern face finally cracked, and sparks of excitement flashed in her pupils. She took a step forward, her voice rarely trembling. Data confirmation. Prototype module switching 4 minutes and 20 seconds, joint adaptive algorithm 0 error, killing efficiency 110%, super simulation limit. Arthur, your blueprint, the savior of the federal border. The noble's eyes changed from contempt to fear and worship. Someone whispered, "The poor man's genius, the engine roars, is as thick as a battleship, but the man-machine is as flexible as a finger. This algorithm is made public, and Quarren's monopoly is over." The reviewer banged the gavel, and his fat face turned red. "The patent is temporarily approved. It needs to be verified by actual machines, but Quarren's challenge failed." Shocked noises broke out in the audience. Eve's eyes flashed with tears, and she held Arthur's arm tightly. "We won." Freya slumped on the chair, her face ashen as death. Her fingers were still trembling slightly on the terminal. The blueprint data had been stolen and uploaded to the Karen cloud. Her eyes flashed with viciousness. "For now. What a joke. Military Bureau, when it is verified in actual combat, I will make you regret it." Kevin stumbled out of the cabin, laughing wildly with bloodshot eyes on his face, kneeling down and beating his chest. "Boss. This prototype can easily beat the noble mecha. I feel like my heart and the engine are fused together, and my forehead feels so good with every blow." Shirley turned to Arthur, her eyes changing from suspicion to intense interest. "Boy, the Federation is providing black market parts to quickly produce a physical prototype. But the verification is more than simulation. The alien threat from the border is approaching. Your shabby workshop in the slums, be ready." Arthur's lips turned coldly as he revealed more details of the blueprint, the self-healing formula of the nanoworm swarm. The projection rotated like a nebula. The nobles gasped, and an engineer roared in admiration. "This self-healing, the battle damage will automatically reorganize and never be disabled." Freya gritted her teeth, stood up and fluttered her sleeves. "Karen will not give up." In the chaos in the hall, the alarms suddenly sounded piercingly, and the giant screen flashed red. "Emergency. Alien pirates raid the slums. 5 scout ships invaded and the residents suffered heavy casualties." Shirley's face suddenly changed. "Damn. The real battlefield is coming. Kevin, your prototype is still in the semi-finished state in the workshop. Test it immediately and intercept the pirates. Arthur, follow me." Kevin's eyes lit up and he hit the wall with his fist. "Here it comes. Boss, let me kill the Japanese with live ammunition." Image projections of the slums, flames rising into the sky, screams echoing. Freya's red lips raised a sinister smile. The opportunity, just right. The piercing sound of the alarm ripped through the dead silence in the hall like a sharp knife, and the image of the slums on the giant holographic screen unfolded like a picture of hell. 5 alien reconnaissance ships were entrenched in the low altitude like black-scaled pythons. During the laser sweep, the dilapidated shacks turned into a sea of flames. The screams of the residents were swallowed up by the roar of the explosion. Thick smoke billowed up, obscuring the neon lights of the Interstellar Federation. Colonel Shirley's face was ashen. She slapped the command platform with her palm, and the sound was like a cannonball exploding. Military Bureau helicopter, dispatch immediately. Arthur, your half-finished prototype is the only hope. The slum workshop, started in 5 minutes. Kevin, pilot it to intercept the reconnaissance ship and delay time. Noble, their faces turned pale, and a fat reviewer stuttered and whispered, scout ship. Each ship is equipped with particle-cutting cannons, poor prototypes, die. Freya's sinister smile flashed in the chaos, her eyes under her blonde hair narrowed like poisonous snakes, and she quietly pressed the communicator, action, erased the source of the blueprint. Arthur's eyes were as solid as cold iron. He grabbed Eve's arm and growled, let's go. Upload the workshop coordinates to Shirley. The three of them rushed out of the hall like arrows, and the military hover vehicle engine roared and exploded, tearing the night sky and heading towards the slums. Outside the car window, the steel jungle of the interstellar city was retreating rapidly. The towering aristocratic towers were brightly lit. In contrast to the messy fire in the slums, Eve's fingertips were cold and she trembled. Arthur, those scout ships are the outposts of the alien empire, specializing in hunting down the weak points on the border. Our semi-finished product, the engine, it's not stable yet. Kevin slammed his fist on the car door, his rough face twisted into a frenzy. Is it stable or not? Let me try. Boss, I just simulated abusing the noble mecha. Real guns and live ammunition are even more fun. Shirley's helicopter formation opened the way, machine gun fire suppressed the low-altitude firepower, and the rumble made the car body tremble. The slum workshop has been reduced to the edge of scorched earth, with half-finished prototypes standing among the ruins. The 30-meter steel body is covered with black market welding marks, the nano-interfaces at the joints are flickering, and the engine nacelle is still smoking from the test flight. The surrounding residents clutched their heads and fled in all directions. An old woman was scratched by the laser and fell to the ground in a bloody state, wailing, "Monster, the Federation has abandoned us." Kevin jumped into the cockpit, and the moment the neural link was connected, brain waves rushed into the mecha like electricity. The heavy engine roared to life, and the tail flame initially erupted like lava, but it stalled for half a second. The mecha stumbled forward, smashing down a broken wall. The nobles broadcasting in the hall burst into laughter. Look. Black market garbage, kneel down when activated. Shirley's communication exploded. Kevin, take off. The reconnaissance ship is approaching Block 7, and the particle cannon is locked on you. The prototype mecha's engine was fully turned on, roaring like the explosion of the Earth's core. The thick body tore through the dust and mist of the ruins. The anti-gravity auxiliary cabin barely operated. The mecha jumped awkwardly and broke a cable tower. Sparks flew and fell 10 meters before bouncing back up. Kevin gritted his teeth and sweated like rain. Fuck. Overload warning, joints are sticky, like dragging chains uphill. The first scout ship swooped in, the black scale shell reflected the firelight, the particle-cutting cannon buzzed and charged, and the blue beam cut down like a death scythe. The nobles in the hall gasped, the prototype is finished. The cutting cannon melts steel like mud. Eve's fingers were flying in front of the workshop terminal, screaming, Arthur, temporarily inject nano self-assembly and replace the defense module. Arthur's eyes were like a falcon, and the blueprint projection exploded. He improvised an anti-gravity propulsion interface, and the data flow was like a galaxy and poured into the prototype. Kevin, brainwave synchronization. Man-machine integration, forced adaptation. Loud clicking noise. A cloud of nano-insects burst out from the interface, and black mist enveloped the right arm. The armor plate instantly switched to the energy shield module. The shield surface unfolded like ripples of liquid alloy, and the particle beam hit it. Sparks exploded like fireworks. The shield was only dented by 3 centimeters before it bounced back to its original shape. Kevin instinctively thought, the mecha's joints adaptively bent, the thick steel legs pushed on the ground, and the anti-gravity propulsion exploded for the first time. The thick tail flame dragged the afterimage, the mecha slid sideways like a ghost and circled to the flank of the reconnaissance ship. The heavy gun module hot-switched, the gun barrel extended and self-assembled, and the plasma beam blasted out. The explosion bloomed like a small sun. Half of the wings of the reconnaissance ship broke off and spiraled into the edge of the slum. Debris fell like rain. The residents looked up and their eyes widened. A young strong man murmured, "That, poor man's mecha stopped the Imperial Devils." Shirley's helicopter formation witnessed the whole process. The colonel's voice trembled from the communication, "Zero damage counterattack. This half-finished product, a border artifact. Arthur, the military materials are coming soon, rush to make a complete version." There was deathly silence in the noble hall. The fat auditor's glasses fell to the ground and he trembled. The particle-cutting cannon was blocked by the shield. The engine load was only 80%, the curved space slid sideways, and the semi-finished parts did not disintegrate. Freya hit the table with her fist, her knuckles turned white, and she smiled sinisterly. "Distortion, the show has just begun." Kevin pursued the victory. The roar of the prototype engine intensified, and it was as thick as a battleship. It woke up and killed 2 reconnaissance ships. The nanoworms self-healed and welded the scratched armor. The residents cheered. Some people knelt down and worshipped, "Genius. Poor people. The savior of the cave." The remaining 2 reconnaissance ships retreated hastily, and the alarm was lifted. Kevin jumped out of the cabin, shouting with blood and sweat on his face, "Boss. This thing, hot switching is like lightning, overload. It doesn't exist." But the prototype's joints were smoking and the engine compartment was red. The lights flashed and Shirley landed, her stern face rarely softened, proving enough. "The military's secret assistance has begun, anti-gravity core, intelligent fire control chip, self-healing nanocoating, all shipped. Named Thunder 1 and completed within 3 days." The workshop suddenly turned into a military fortress. Shirley's transport ship unloaded the shining military boxes, titanium alloy beams, quantum fuel rods, and nanocoating reagents were piled up. Arthur's eyes were on fire, and his fingers in front of the terminal were like a storm. The blueprint was optimized, anti-gravity propulsion was integrated into the main engine, the locking algorithm of the intelligent fire control system was upgraded, the self-healing nanocoating covered the entire body, and the projection was like a rotating galaxy. Eve buried her head in the patent dispute documents and frowned. The Quarren family appealed, claiming that the blueprint plagiarized their quantum shield. "But the simulation data is irrefutable, we fight back." Kevin stripped off his upper body, his thick muscles glistening with sweat, and jumped into the upgraded prototype. Training begins. Urban battle simulation, 3 noble quantum mechas encirclement and suppression. Shirley monitored in person, folding her arms. "Boys, there is strong resistance within the military, and Quarren has penetrated the top management. If this Thunder 1 fails, the patent will be destroyed forever." The simulation cabin unfolded, ruins of a broken city, tilted high-rise buildings, 3 quantum mechas standing tall, a 40-meter steel shield pulsating with blue light, and shoulder cannons firing. Kevin's engine roared to life, and Thunder 1 began to take shape. The engine tail flame was as thick as a nuclear explosion, the joints adaptively flashed, and the anti-gravity assist made starting like teleportation. The projection of noble passers-by taunted, "Poor garbage, here to die again." The first wave of particle beams rained down, the Thunder 1 energy shield switched hotly, and the nanocoating ripples were absorbed. Kevin's brain wave heated up, lightning transformation. The thrusters exploded, anti-gravity curved trajectories, mecha ghosts shuttled through the buildings, intelligent fire control locked the weak points of the 3 machines, heavy artillery fired continuously, boom. The shield of the first quantum mecha shattered, the aftermath of the explosion shook the tall building, and the fragments fell like meteorites. Shirley's pupils narrowed and she whispered, "Fire control prediction, 0 error in locking the enemy, 0 overload." Eve stopped writing with her fingers, tears flashing, Arthur's algorithm is amazing." Kevin laughed wildly. The module hot switching was as smooth as breathing, and he switched to a melee blade arm, self-repairing nano-instantaneous healing muzzle ablation. The steel blade cut into the second machine joint like lightning, the core was torn apart in a spark explosion, and the engine screamed and collapsed. The third machine tried to escape, but the anti-gravity propulsion caught up with it. The thick tail flame dragged the vacuum vortex. When the man and machine came together, Kevin felt his heartbeat synchronized with the engine, and smashed the cockpit projection with one punch. "The simulation is over, victory." Shirley snapped, "Lightning transformation tactics, invincible in urban warfare." Military ranks prepared. "Arthur, you are the hope of the Federation." Residents and passers-by witnessed it through the screen in the workshop. They were shocked and knelt down. "Thunder 1, defies the heaven." The poor counterattack. The night is deep and the workshop is brightly lit. Arthur wipes his sweat and the blueprint is finalized. The self-healing coating covers Thunder 1 like revitalizing skin, and the steel body flashes a faint blue. Suddenly, assassins in black emerged from the shadows like ghosts. The three of them held particle daggers and locked the terminal with murderous intent, Freya's assassination. The leading assassin growled, "Hand over the blueprint." Arthur's mouth curled up coldly, without raising his head. "Kevin, the trap is activated." The floor cracked, the nanomine trap erupted, the black fog insect cloud swallowed the assassin, the interface self-assembled into shackles, and the particle dagger backfired on the owner, and the screams echoed. An assassin struggled to get up and widened his eyes. "This, blueprint trap. The molecular chain has been reorganized and our equipment has melted." Arthur finally stood up, his eyes were like death. "Tell Freya, steal. Next time it's Karen's turn." Shirley dragged away the captives, with a solemn expression on her face. "The internal resistance exceeded expectations, and there are people at the top to protect Karen. But Thunder 1 is completed, and the first actual combat mission is issued. The main pirate fleet is approaching the border, and 10 heavy cruisers will attack tomorrow. Prepare." Shirley's communicator exploded like thunder, and in the red light flashing, her livid face reflected a holographic projection. On the black screen of the border space, 10 alien pirate heavy cruisers were entrenched like giant black sharks, their scale armor reflected starlight, the bow particle main gun hummed with energy, the frigate group exploded like a honeycomb, and the missile tail flames weaved into a fire net, heading straight towards the federal border station. In the slum workshop, the air was as stagnant as a tomb. The residents were stunned through the peripheral screens. An old miner pointed at the projection with trembling fingers. "Heavy patrol, each ship has the firepower of 10 federal destroyers. Thunder 1. Those 30-meter steel lumps are cannon fodder." Kevin's thick fist hit the titanium alloy leg of Thunder 1, making a thunderous sound. In response, he roared, "Cannon fodder. I just tortured the scout ship, now let's get serious. Boss, warm up the engine and give me quantum fuel." But Arthur's eyes swept across the dashboard like a cold blade, and the blueprint terminal data stream rolled in. The engine load prediction was 90%, the self-healing coating test was only 80% fused, and the heavy cruise missile rain can instantly evaporate the prototype. "There's no rush, Colonel Shirley. The fleet is still 2 hours away from the border station. Give me 40 minutes to fine-tune the anti-gravity core, it's not stable enough and hot switching will get stuck." Shirley's voice burst out from the communicator, mixed with the noise on the bridge. 40 minutes. The pirate ace Iron Claw has locked onto the border station, and the particle claws can tear warships apart. The military support fleet was dispatched, but the top brass of Karen delayed the supply. "Your thunder is the vanguard, the genius of the poor, prove that I didn't watch." "Wrong." Panic flashed through Eve's beautiful eyes. She held Arthur's arm tightly, her nails digging into the skin. "Arthur, Karen's appeal has just been suppressed, and now Freya is spreading rumors on the military network. The blueprint is unstable and the test flight will explode due to overload. If something happens to Kevin, the patent will be destroyed forever." The residents in the workshop whispered, a young mother hugged her child tightly and whispered, I heard, the nobles said that this mecha is a black market bomb, and the driver will be roasted alive. Kevin turned around, sweat slid down his chest muscles, and his rough face twisted into a wild laugh. Roasted? My heart is harder than the engine. Boss, believe me, man and machine are one, it feels like that steel body is my arm. Arthur nodded, his terminal fingers were like lightning, nano commands were injected into Thunder 1, the anti-gravity core buzzed and awakened, the 30-meter steel body was wrapped in a faint blue halo, the joint adaptive test was smooth, and the initial spray of tail flame was as thick as lava, but there was no lag. The night tore apart, Thunder 1's engine was fully turned on, the roar shook the slum ground, and dust flew from the dilapidated shacks. The residents held their heads and backed away, their eyes widened as if they had seen a miracle. A strong man murmured, this sound is like a hell beast waking up, and the noble mecha trembles when it hears it. The suspended platform rose, and the mecha jumped into the transport ship cabin. Shirley's support fleet led the way, and the 5 Federal destroyer engines roared, tearing open the atmosphere and heading straight into space. In the cockpit, Kevin's neural link was engaged, and his brainwaves rushed into the steel body like electric current. He growled, Boss, the connection is established, it feels like the heartbeat and the engine are synchronized. Arthur was in front of the workshop terminal, with projections like stars surrounding him. His voice was calm, initial light mode, high-speed penetration of the frigate group. Eve, contact the senior military officials, lobbying for Shirley's supply channels to be unblocked. Eve's fingers were flying on the communication panel, her beautiful face was firm. Understood, Karen executives, listen, the slum blueprint has saved the slums, now save the border. Outside the slum screen, residents gathered around, clenching their fists, and someone shouted, Kevin, kill the pirates. Shut up the nobles. At the space border, in the dark, pirates patrolled like a fortress, 20 frigates pounced like wolves, missiles rained down, and flame snakes intertwined into a web. The Federation destroyer was the first to bear the brunt, the shield sparks burst, a ship's hull was torn apart, and the wreckage fell like a meteor. On the Shirley Bridge, the officers' faces turned pale, and an adjutant trembled, the ace iron claw is out. That particle claw is specially designed to defeat energy shields. Thunder 1, the 30-meter prototype is a target. Freya's shadow projection broke into the military network, her blonde hair flew, and she taunted, Colonel, poor garbage stability. The overload explosion is imminent, and my Karen quantum mecha is in place, don't let the border be destroyed by the blueprint joke. Shirley slapped the command podium, shut up. Thunder, break through. Thunder 1 exploded from the transport ship, anti-gravity propulsion was fully activated for the first time, the engine roared as thickly as a battleship awakening, the steel body lines were streamlined in light mode, the tail flame dragged the vacuum vortex, and it shuttled through the rain of missiles like teleportation, the missiles passed by, the heat wave licked the nanocoating, and the self-healing insect cloud instantly healed the slightest traces. Kevin's mind buzzed, fuck. Man and machine are integrated, it feels like I am flying, and the noble idiot is still spinning in circles. The frigate locked, the particle cannon buzzed, and the blue light swept like a sickle. The officers gasped, the prototype dodge radius exceeds the standard, anti-gravity bends the space. Impossible, black market parts. Kevin roared, boss, change the firepower. Yeah, the data flow from say terminal surged, and real-time instructions were uploaded, nano self-assembly, hot-switching heavy cannon module. There was a loud click, a cloud of insects swarmed in the right arm interface, the cannon barrel extended and self-assembled, the plasma heavy cannon accumulated red light pulsating, and the thick steel arm was raised, boom. The first frigate was hit, its scales exploded like fireworks, its core melted and it spiraled down, and the fragments hit the second ship, causing chain explosions like starbursts. The Shirley Bridge was dead silent, and the adjutant's glasses fell off, and he trembled, one-shot kill, zero error in fire control prediction, heavy frigate armor 3 times thicker than the expulsion, 0 damage. Eve's communication cut to the top of the military, and her voice was sonorous. Watch the live broadcast. Blueprint for the poor, the module switch only takes 2 seconds, and the Sharon quantum shield is still charging. The high-ranking nobles' faces were ashen, and one person whispered, "Stability? This goes beyond the family patent." The rain of missiles intensified, and 500 fire tails swooped in like a swarm of bees. The pirate ace Iron Claw appeared, a 50-meter behemoth, with particle claws like death hooks, tearing apart a Federal expulsion ship, and fireballs rolled out of the wreckage. Kevin was sweating profusely, and the brainwave overload warning flashed, "Boss, lock me with the Iron Claw, and the claw speed is supersonic." Arthur's eyes were like an eagle, energy shield module, hot switch. Intelligent fire control upgrade, lock the weak point, the claw root joint. The command was like an electric whip whipping in, and a cloud of nano-bugs. Wrapping the whole body, the energy shield ripples unfold, the liquid alloy swallows the rain of missiles, only 5 centimeters are dented in the explosion of sparks, the self-healing coating bounces back, and the Iron Claw cuts off, the ripples on the shield surface ripple violently, the mecha slides sideways, the anti-gravity burst drags the afterimage, and circles behind the Iron Claw, and heavy artillery fires. The aftermath of the explosion shook the space, the claw arm of the Iron Claw broke, and the cockpit was exposed. Kevin combined man and machine to feel the pulsation of the enemy's heartbeat. He switched with a melee blade arm, and the steel blade tore into the core like lightning. The Iron Claw disintegrated with a wail, and fragments fell on the border station like meteor rain. Cheers erupted in the slum workshop, and the residents rushed out of the shacks with their fists raised high. Some people knelt down and cried, "Kevin! Thunder God Machine! The pirate ace, the enemy of one." On the Shirley Bridge, the colonel hit his chest with his fist, and his voice rarely trembled, "Annihilate the entire escort group, and retreat with heavy patrols. Arthur, you the blueprint, cosmic level." Freya's projection was distorted, her knuckles turned white, and she screamed, "False. There is a hidden danger of overloading, and the battle damage data will prove it. The engine has a red light, and it can explode at any time." But the live broadcast data on the military network proved it. The load is 85%, self-healing has 0 damage, and the module switching is as smooth as breathing. The eyes of the high-ranking nobles changed, from ridicule to greed, and one person whispered, "Patent, must be exclusive to the Federation." Kevin drove the Thunderbolt back to the transport ship, and roared with blood and sweat on his face in the cabin, "Boss, it's so cool. That scum of the Iron Claw, before the claws even touched my side, was transformed and tortured into scum by lightning." Supporting the fleet escorted the return voyage, the surviving soldiers at the border station worshipped through the screen, "Savior of the poor, the blueprint is against the sky." The workshop was brightly lit, Thunder 1 landed, the titanium alloy body flashed with battle scars, the self-healing coating wriggled and healed like revitalized skin, and the residual heat of the engine emitted a heat wave. Arthur jumped onto the shoulder of the mecha, and connected the terminal to the battle damage data, perfect joint adaptation, fire control hit rate of 99.8, anti-gravity without attenuation, but a trace of abnormal fluctuation flashed, the deep space signal remained, the mark of the alien empire. Kevin jumped out of the hatch and put his thick arms around Arthur's shoulders, "Boss, the 10 heavy cruisers are scared to death. Next time we will go directly to the mothership." Eve threw herself into Arthur's arms, tears flashing, "The military supports the overturn, and the top management promised patented ironclad proof." The Shirley transport ship landed, and she strode over, sternly a rare smile appeared on his face, "Kevin, the rank of second lieutenant is ready." "Arthur, after analyzing the data, the military is recruiting." The communication emergency message exploded, and a giant shadow appeared on the holographic screen, the alien empire's large invasion fleet, hundreds of battleships approaching the core of the Federation, and the mothership was like a black hole swallowing starlight. Shirley's face turned pale, "We have been detected, Arthur, drive it yourself and join the battle." The air in the workshop still smells of burnt engine heat, and the titanium alloy floor is littered with silvery debris from the self-healing coating, like stardust sprinkled on a battlefield. Thunder 1 stands in the center of the lifting platform, its 30-meter steel body casting a huge shadow under the light. The cloud of nano-insects slowly converges, and the low roar of healing battle scars is like the panting of a giant beast. The slum dwellers gathered outside the fence, their eyes reflecting the blue halo of the mecha. Some people murmured in a low voice, "Zero damage." The monster claws of Iron Claw didn't leave any marks. This blueprint is simply amazing. An old miner wiped the sweat from his forehead and said in a trembling voice, "The noble quantum mecha needs to replace 3 sets of modules to fight pirates. Can this poor guy win every battle?" As soon as Shirley finished speaking, the projection of the Imperial fleet on the holographic screen expanded like a nightmare. The outlines of hundreds of battleships distorted the space. The energy core like a black hole in the center of the mothership pulsated, swallowing up the surrounding starlight. The guard group hovered like an ant colony, and the simulated trajectory of particle beam strafing pointed directly at the core star field of the Federation. There was a moment of dead silence in the workshop. Kevin's thick chest heaved and his fists turned white. 100 ships. "Boss, this time it's not pirates, it's the regular army of the Empire. That scumbag like Iron Claw is not even an appetizer." Eve's beautiful eyes stared at the projection, and her fingertips unconsciously tightened Arthur's sleeves. Her voice trembled slightly. "The remaining reconnaissance signals, the anomalies in the battle damage data are their marks. The military has recruited you to pilot it, Arthur, time is running out." Shirley stepped forward, stepping on her military boots. The ground reverberated, and the smile on her stern face turned into iron frost. "The slums are not a safe haven, Arthur. Thunder has proven everything, but the firepower of the Imperial mothership can evaporate the fleet. Your blueprint needs to be upgraded, Quantum Leap, otherwise, the high-speed maneuvers cannot keep up with their space folding." The residents whispered, and a young mechanic's eyes widened. The colonel said Quantum Leap? That thing is patented by the nobles and costs as much as 10 destroyers. Where can the resources come from the slums? Arthur's eyes swept over everyone like cold stars. The terminal projection danced around his fingertips, and the battle damage data poured out like a waterfall. The peak engine load was 85, the fire control was 99.8, the self-healing efficiency was 100, but the deep space signal remained like a hidden sting. He whispered, "Resources. Colonel Shirley's supply channel has been opened, and the military nano warehouse arrived last night. Kevin, disassemble the right arm heavy cannon module, and I will take stock first. The anti-gravity core has no attenuation, but for the mothership-level particle beam, a quantum jump engine and multi-target AI lock are required." Kevin grinned wildly, jumped onto the mecha's shoulder, and waved the tool gun with his thick arm. The titanium alloy plate was peeled off in the arc, and there was a heavy tearing sound. "Boss, leave it to me." After man and machine merged into one, I felt that the heartbeat of this steel lump was in sync with mine. After the upgrade, it destroyed the Empire. Shirley nodded, and the engine of the military aid convoy roared in the communicator as it approached. Quantum crystals were dumped in the cargo hold and piled up like a mountain. The blue light was dazzling. The residents gasped. A woman hugged her child and backed away. The military really gave it to him? Noble Karen even heard that he couldn't snatch it away. During late-night repairs, the workshop turned into a steel furnace. Arthur immersed himself in the blueprint terminal, and the Thunder One was deconstructed into thousands of modules in the virtual projection. The nano self-assembly interface flashed, and his fingers redrawn like lightning. The quantum jump engine was embedded in the core of the tail vertebra, the crystal veins spread like nerves, and the predicted jump radius was 500,000 kilometers. Without space distortion delay, multi-target locking AI upgraded neural links, brain waves can lock hundreds of targets, and fire control prediction was integrated with the Imperial ship type database. Eve handed over hot coffee, her beautiful face reflecting the halo of the projection, and she whispered, "The live broadcast of the battle suppressed Freya's rumors, and the high-level patent approval has just come, officially approved." Your name, Arthur, is on the Federation hero list, and it is the most searched on the entire galaxy network. The certificate popped up on the projector and shone with golden light, and cheers erupted outside the slum screen. The residents rushed into the workshop, raising their fists in the air. Patent King. The poor are counterattack. Shut up, Quarren. An old man knelt down with tears in his eyes. Boy, you let us cannon fodder see the sky. Fame is coming like a tide, but Arthur's brows are slightly furrowed, and his mind is calm. Patents are a stepping stone, and the Empire's 100 battleships are the test. Eve, contact Shirley, and prepare the simulation cabin. Kevin test drives the second generation to fight against the virtual swarm of Imperial motherships. Eve's eyes were soft, and she suddenly stepped forward, holding Arthur's face with her delicate hands, her red lips trembling. Arthur, from the first sight of the blueprint, I knew you were extraordinary. It's not the admiration of a lawyer, it's a woman's love for a man. No matter how dangerous the battlefield is, I will accompany you. She kissed her on tiptoe, as warm as a spark, and everyone in the workshop was stunned. Kevin whistled loudly. Wow, boss. The lawyer girl took the initiative, and the slums are celebrating tonight. Shirley turned her head and raised her lips slightly. The romantic moment is short, and the simulation begins. The residents looked in admiration, and someone whispered, heroes still fall in love. The world is about to change. The second generation of thunder is reborn. The quantum engine buzzes and wakes up, as thick as the heartbeat of a black hole. The first spray of tail flame distorts the air, and the holographic field of the virtual cabin unfolds. In the darkness of space, the Imperial mothership presses like a mountain. Hundreds of battleships' particle cannons interweave with charged red light, and the space of the escort group folds for a surprise attack. Kevin clicked on the neural link, and his brainwaves rushed into the steel body. He roared, Boss, connect. It feels like the jump engine is like my lungs, it will burst after one breath. In the initial light mode, anti-gravity curved space, the afterimage of the mecha flickered, and it instantly penetrated the escort missile network, but the simulated mothership's main gun was locked, and the particle beam swept in like a death beam. The alarm in the cabin blared, and Shirley's virtual bridge projection trembled. Lock my support ship. Kevin, the prototype is not fast enough. Residents looked at the screen with pale faces, and a mechanic trembled. The mothership's heavy patrol with 10 times the firepower. Thunder 2. What should I do if it gets stuck? The nobles said that the poor people cannot use quantum leap. Wanting to be strong, Kevin's driving suit was soaked with sweat, and the brainwave overload warning flashed wildly. Fuck. The space folding is catching up, the engine is overheated. Arthur's terminal calmly commanded, multi-target AI is online, lock the mothership's weak point, the energy core node. Hot switch to heavy fortress mode. A cloud of nanobugs surged. There was a loud click, the whole body interface self-assembled, the armor was layered as thick as a city wall, the quadruple plasma cannon on the shoulder was stretched, the quantum engine was fully activated, the roar shook the ground of the workshop, the jump broke out in the virtual field, the mecha teleported into the blind spot of the mothership like a ghost, the AI locked on the target and the red circle flashed, and the brain wave prediction had zero delay. Kevin roared, man and machine become one, and the steel arm is my fist. The plasma cannon fired continuously, and the red light beam penetrated the escort group like a meteor shower. The scales of the first wave of 20 battleships exploded, and the core melted in chain star explosions, and the debris was like fireworks. Shirley's virtual ship was hit, and the projection fell and the fireball rolled. Her voice was urgent, the support ship is destroyed. Escape dash. Kevin's eyes were ferocious, and he broke through the limit. Boss, rescue module. Arthur's command was like a whip, expand the jump grab arm. The quantum engine exploded for the second time, and the fortress mode giant arm stretched out to bend the space, clamped Shirley's virtual cabin, teleported back, the particle beam passed by, and the nanocoating self-healed the fire marks. The main gun of the mothership was fully charged, and the red light swallowed the sky. The residents screamed off-screen, it's over. The firepower is overwhelming to drive it away. But Kevin's man and machine are integrated, the AI fire control is 99.9, and the plasma cannon locks the core node, boom. The ripples of the mothership's energy shield collapsed, the core of the black hole was exposed, and 10 cannons were fired in succession. The beast screamed and disintegrated, the virtual fleet was completely destroyed, and the field collapsed like a shower of stars. The workshop erupted in cheers like an earthquake. Residents rushed to the platform, their eyes widened as if they had seen a miracle. A strong man knelt down and shouted, "Fortress mode, one shot of the mothership." The AI has locked 100 targets, and the noble quantum machine is still fighting. Shirley jumped out of the simulation cabin, her face was rarely flushed, and her voice was trembling. "Kevin, you saved me. The second generation, invincible in the universe." Arthur, the exclusive mecha, goes to the battlefield with his own creation. Kevin's cabin door popped open, his face full of blood and sweat, and he laughed wildly. "Boss, the limit has been broken. I feel like I can challenge the Emperor alone." Eve hugged Arthur tightly, with tears flashing, "My hero." Outside the slums, Arthur's portrait was projected on the hero list, and the whole galaxy was boiling. But the calm was shattered. Freya's hologram invaded the military network and projected the blonde hair into distortion. She joined forces with the conservative generals and smiled sinisterly, "Heroes. The battle damage remains with the Imperial virus, and Thunder has been infected." The military conservatives ordered, "Seize the blueprint, and arrest Arthur, suspected traitor." The communicator exploded, and the engine of the military vehicle roared. Ming approached the workshop, Shirley's face was ashen, framed. "The conservatives are delaying, the Empire's border has been invaded in large numbers, and the Ace alien mecha group has broken in." The holographic screen switches, the border is in a sea of fire, the Empire's Ace 50-meter Star Eater mecha tears apart the federal defense line, its claws are like the god of death. "Arthur, you drive it yourself and fight." Outside the workshop, the mist of the slums lingered like a ghost, the night wind was mixed with the smell of scorched earth from the distant border fires, and the low gunfire of the collapse of the federal defense line was faintly heard. The engines of military vehicles roared like death's scythes across the ground. 10 heavy armored personnel carriers rolled over the gravel roads of the slums. Red police lights pierced the darkness and illuminated the pale faces of the residents outside the fence. An old woman hugged her child tightly and murmured in a trembling voice, "The military has turned against you. Arthur, who is number 1 on the hero list, has a virus. Who believes it?" The young technicians gripped the welding guns tightly, but their legs weakened and backed away. The air was filled with the sourness of despair, and someone growled, "Conservatives are a bitch." Freya, that bitch, bit her as soon as the patent was approved. Kevin jumped off the shoulders of the Thunderbolt II and blocked the lifting platform with his thick body. His fists were clenched with veins and his eyes were red. "Boss, if they dare to touch you, I will open these cans." But there was no trace of tremor in his voice, the turret of the military vehicle opposite was rotating, and the particle gun muzzle was charging with blue light, pointing directly at the workshop door. Shirley's communicator burst out with a roar. She strode to the edge of the platform, her military uniform epaulets flashing in the light, her face as green as before a storm. "Stop. I am Colonel Shirley, this is the hero's blueprint, the virus is Freya's forged data." But the military vehicle ignored it. The leading commander's holographic projection popped up, and a bald general's gloomy face twisted. "Shirley, are you harboring a traitor? There is irrefutable evidence of the Empire virus, seizing the blueprint, and arresting Arthur. The border star-eating beast has torn through 3 lines of defense and is delaying the war. You are also guilty." The residents gasped, and a strong man knelt down and bumped his fist on the ground, his voice choked with sobs. "It's over, we cannon fodder, we expected Arthur to stand up, but now we even arrest the hero." Eve held Arthur's arm tightly, tears welling up in her beautiful eyes, and her fingertips were cold. "Arthur, I have the lawyer's evidence, the virus code is the mark of the Quarren family, Freya hacked into the military network and implanted it last night. But her words were drowned in the harsh friction of the military vehicle's brakes. The heavy door burst open, soldiers swarmed out, and the electromagnetic shackles buzzed and the chains were unfolded. Arthur's eyes were as still as an abyss, and the terminal projection surrounded his fingertips. He spoke in a low voice, and his voice penetrated the noise. "Shirley, turn on the workshop fortress mode. Eve, send the evidence to the Federal High-Level Live broadcast. Kevin, protect the Thunder 2, arrest. Are they worthy?" The nanocoating surged from the workshop walls, blocking the door like a living creature. Thick titanium alloy plates stacked up and turned into a steel fortress. The residents' eyes widened. An old miner murmured, "This blueprint, even the workshop has been upgraded." Soldiers rushed the door, sparks flew from the particle gun fire, but the self-healing layer instantly healed the bullet holes. Shirley's reinforcement flare went up to the sky, and the engine of the distant military reinforcement convoy roared back. During the melee, Arthur ignored his surroundings and jumped onto the new lifting platform. Quantum crystals piled up like a hill. His fingers flew to the terminal. "Time is running out. Creator, my exclusive mecha, based on the ultimate version of the blueprint. Biofusion cockpit, neural synchronization interface, direct connection to the cerebral cortex, zero delay." The machine becomes one. The projection unfolds the ghost of the blueprint, the outline of the 40-meter steel body emerges, the core nanoworm cloud hovers, the module interface is like a cluster of nerves, the anti-gravity core is embedded in the spine, the quantum jump engine is enlarged to 1 million kilometers, the neural link is integrated with biological enzyme catalysis, and the hot switching of all modules is predicted to be zero overload. The lights in the workshop dimmed, the residual heat from the engine dissipated, leaving only a low hum that was depressing. Kevin panted and dismantled the auxiliary modules, sweat dripping down the titanium plate, and said harshly, "Boss, Border Intelligence, Shirley said that the ace group of star-devouring beasts has broken into the atmosphere, the 50-meter hook can tear the cruiser, the acidic mist corrodes the armor, and the Federal forwards are all wiped out." Shirley's projection cut to the battlefield scene. The border sea of fire is rolling. The Star Eater mechas swarmed like alien beasts, their hooks and claws tore apart the ship's metal fragments like a rain, black mist spewed out and melted the defense network, and the corpses of Federal soldiers floated in space, and the wailing echoed through the communication, "Support. The Ace Star Eater, devoured us." The residents gathered around the screen, their faces turned pale, and a woman covered her face and cried, "The Empire is coming. The next one in the slums. Arthur, leave us alone, run." Suppressed like a black cloud, Arthur frowned slightly and said, "Run. This is my battlefield." Eve, exposed the conspiracy. Freya not only framed the virus, but also teamed up with the conservatives to block my patented supply line. Eve pointed her fingers wildly. Click on the terminal, and a live broadcast on the Galaxy network pops up. The Quarren family hacker records are exposed, Freya's blonde face is distorted, and the virus is implanted with a sinister smile, a blueprint for the poor. Ruined it. Online public opinion reversed, and messages on the hero list exploded. Freya, get out. Arthur is not guilty. Conservatives are traitors to the country, the Empire is laughing to death. But time collapses like an hourglass, and the Creator Assembly accelerates in desperation. The cloud of nanobugs swallowed the quantum crystals, the steel frame bulged, and it was as thick as a mountain pressing the air in the workshop. Each piece of armor stacked together made a dull sound like the earth was shaking. Arthur was the first to snap the neural synchronization interface, and the biofusion hatch swallowed his body. The enzyme liquid was injected into the veins, burning the brain like fire. He groaned, and his vision was distorted into steel veins, his heartbeat was synchronized with the engine, brain waves rushed into the quantum core, and millions of jumps warmed up and hummed in the bone marrow. The training started, the simulation cabin holographically unfolded the star-devouring beasts, and the phantoms of hooks and claws pounced. Arthur thought, the light mode was activated, anti-gravity bent the air in the cabin, and the afterimage flickered to avoid the poisonous fog, but the overload warning flashed wildly. The brain was swollen and painful, and the residents were sweating outside the screen. A technician trembled. Neural fusion, the nobles don't dare to try. What should I do if Arthur's brain can't bear it? Kevin stood by and waved his thick arms. Boss, hold on. Full module control, I will escort you. Shirley's intelligence surged. The star-devouring beast's weakness was the energy capsule in the abdomen, and there was a 3-second gap between the acid mist sprays. The federal battle broke out immediately, and the forward was disabled. Suddenly the alarm sounded, the workshop fortress door exploded, and the arrested soldiers retreated, but the holographic military order projection, battle call. Arthur, personally pilot the exclusive mecha and attack the star-devouring beast's vanguard. Violators will be punished as traitors. Shirley roared with a livid face, go to the battlefield and prove your innocence. The creator's engine was fully turned on, roaring like a black hole waking up, and the tail flames twisted the slum land. Arthur's voice came from the communication calmly, Kevin, Thunderbolt 2 escort. Eve, logistics surveillance. Attack. The mecha lifting platform ejected with a bang, 2 steel shadows were torn in the night sky, a quantum leap broke out, 1,000,000 kilometers of teleportation, a sea of fire at the border, 20 beasts of the Star Devourer's vanguard swooped in, the 50-meter hook flashed with cold light, and the acid mist swallowed the federal shipwreck like a green death cloud. The battlefield was chaotic, fragments of the Federation fleet were floating like a cemetery, and the soldiers communicated in despair, the forwards are all destroyed. The Star Eater is invincible. Arthur's man and machine merged into one, his brain waves locked the group, his neural interface was like a second skin, his mind flashed, jump dodge, the first Star Eater's hook claws brushed against him, space ripples distorted the carapace, and self-healing nanometers instantly healed scratches. He roared, module chain attack. The nano-interface surged, hot switching with zero delay, light equipment turned to high-speed penetration, anti-gravity propulsion burst, afterimages pierced the poisonous fog net, multi-target AI was locked in the middle, and the red circle covered the energy capsule, the fortress mode was superimposed, the heavy arm extended the rescue hook to pull back the federal residual machine, and the shoulder cannon chain was chained at the same time, the plasma light beam penetrated the 5 abdominal pouches like a tornado, the green blood splashed chain disintegration, and the debris burned into a fireball rain. The second-generation Kevin Thunder was escorting the enemy on the flank, roaring, boss, 3 heads on the left wing are outflanking me. His fortress cannon shattered the guard, but the acid mist corroded the wing panels and the alarm sounded blaring. The eyes of the soldiers on the remnant of the federal ship widened. The creator was projected in the cabin like a god descending, the jump trajectory curved into a blind corner, a chain attack killed 10 heads in an instant, 0 damage and self-healing flashed with silver light. A captain's voice trembled, poor mecha. Kill the strikers alone. Noble phoenixes have to form a team. Look at the neural synchronization, the brain waves predict the hook, it's like predicting the future. Shirley commanded the bridge, hitting the table with her fist, her flushed face rarely excited, proof. The virus is fake, yes, Arthur is innocent, all the troops support him. The high-level military communications were shocked, and the conservative general turned pale, this, module chain. The blueprint patent is so outrageous. The slum residents shouted through the live broadcast, and an old man burst into tears, the boy has slaughtered the beast. We have no more cannon fodder. But the dark clouds did not dissipate, and the golden red light dazzled in the depths of the sea of fire. Freya's noble phoenix mecha appeared, with its 45-meter phoenix wings spread out, quantum feather blades cutting the wreckage, and an elegant holographic projection popped up. Her blonde hair taunted, poor genius. The virus has infected your brain, Arthur. The border is my hunting ground, watch my phoenix burn you. Her mecha swooped down, locking the creator's weak point with the feather blade, and smiled sinisterly through the communication, the data has been stolen, and all your upgrades belong to Karen. The residents gasped off-screen, and Kevin roared, boss, a sneak attack is coming. Freya's quantum feather blade exploded, tearing through the void and rushing towards it. The quantum feather blade tore through the void like a golden-red death light. Ripples of twisted space exploded in the sea of border fire. The debris of the Star-Eater beast was swept into a lava-like vortex by the shock wave. The bulkhead of the Federal ship shook violently. The soldiers clung to the armrests, their faces as pale as paper. A young gunner screamed in a trembling voice, "Noble Phoenix. It's locked on the Creator. Arthur is over, ace versus ace, how can the poor stop it?" Shirley's fist smashed the console on the bridge, and her military uniform sleeves, her mouth was torn and bleeding, and her livid face was distorted and roared, "Freya, you traitor." All military fire suppressed her wing track. But the conservative general's dark sneer echoed in the communication, "Colonel, Phoenix is the ace of the military, don't get in the way." Outside the live broadcast screen of the slum, the residents gasped, and an old miner knelt down with his knees weak, tears mixed with sweat, "Just slaughter the forward. Now the nobles bite, no matter how good the blueprint is, they can't hold the fixed quantum blade." The synchronized nerves in Arthur's brain burned like fire, and the enzyme liquid in the biofusion cabin boiled. The Phoenix mecha in his field of vision zoomed in, the 45-meter golden-red steel body swooped gracefully, and the Phoenix wings spread out 100 meters of light feathers. Each feather blade was a fixed quantum cutter, patented by the aristocracy, a perfect module that never switches. The energy output is as stable as a rock, cutting a cruiser like tofu. The psychological game is like a lightning confrontation, this bitch steals data and knows my jump frequency. She seals the void and forces close combat. The risk of overloading the core nanoworm cloud is 90%. If hit, the neural interface will collapse and the brain will be permanently damaged. But run. The main group of star-devouring beasts on the border is approaching, and the remaining Federal ship is swallowed up by acid mist 300 meters away. The soldiers are wailing like ghosts. If I retreat, the hero's innocence will be lost, and the slums will fall into the abyss of cannon fodder. Calm, blueprint advantage, dynamic upgrade, zero delay hot switching, her fixed module is as clumsy as an iron coffin, I am a living steel god. Creator, stealth module, activate. Arthur's mind roared, the neural links surged like the second vein, the nano interface surged with black mist coating, the anti-gravity core pulse distorted the light, the mecha's 40-meter steel body instantly transformed into a ghost, the engine hummed low to a vacuum, and the afterimage stretched into the sea of fire and black smoke. Freya's blonde holographic projection distorted and smiled sinisterly, invisible. A poor man's trick, Phoenix scans the full spectrum. Her mecha's Phoenix wings flapped, and the quantum induction network exploded like a golden-red spider web. The scanning wave pierced the smoke and locked onto the Creator's heat source, but 1/10 of a second later. Arthur's brain wave prediction, the jump slightly moved 100 meters, the feather blade brushed the shoulder armor, the titanium alloy plate melted and sparks flew, the self-healing nano surge repaired, but the core spine interface trembled, warning red light flashed wildly, damage 27%, quantum engine overheated, jump cooling takes 180 seconds. The pain was like thousands of needles piercing his brain. He groaned and gritted his teeth, thinking, it's damaged. She forced me to fight hard. The conservatives are delaying the war. Behind the scenes, the Imperial main ship has jumped to the border. The situation must be broken. Acid mist corroded the wings of Kevin's Thunderbolt II, and smoke was rising. He was sweating like rain in the thick cockpit, and shouted over the communication, "Boss, I'm here. Fortress mode, heavy artillery salvo." The engine roared like a thunder beast waking up, the second-generation 40-meter steel body shoulder cannon extended, and the plasma light beam hit the Phoenix's flank like a tornado. The explosion fireball engulfed the golden and red carapace, and debris poured down like rain. The eyes of the soldiers on the remnant Federal ship widened, and a lieutenant's voice trembled, "Thunder convoy, block the trump card with one machine. The poor brothers, the noble Phoenix feather blades are all deflected." Look at the switch, Arthur teleports invisible, Kevin resists hard, and the blueprint is invincible with both machines. But Freya's mecha spins gracefully and has fixed power, the shield stacked up to block the bombardment and counterattacked without damage. The feather blade swept Kevin's wing panels sideways. The tearing sound of titanium metal was like a wail. The second generation rolled and fell towards the wreckage in the sea of fire. The alarm was piercing, 50% wing damage, propulsion failure. Kevin coughed up blood and sprayed the bulkhead, punched the control stick, damn fixed module. Boss, retreat. Shirley's entire army communication roared, Thunder Rescue Team, quantum traction to bring back Kevin. Arthur, stealth escape, border main group intelligence, 500 Star Eater motherships have locked onto the core of the Federation, the main force of the Empire colluded with the aristocratic conservatives, the Karen family betrayed information in exchange for a truce. Her projection cut into the battlefield hologram, deep space black shadows surged like beasts, 50-meter hook ace groups acid mist clouds pressed down on the environment, the federal parliament was in live broadcast of turmoil. The members were livid, and a fat speaker slapped the table, the Freya family controls the military. The virus is framed by irrefutable evidence, the border is lost, and the whole galaxy is occupied. Residents in the slums screamed in live broadcast, and a woman hugged her head and cried, collusion with the Empire? We are cannon fodder, and Arthur can't save us even if he fights to the death. Eve's tearful eyes flashed through Arthur's mind, and he made a mental decision, collusion. Freya not only stole data, but also sold the weaknesses of the blueprints. Counterattack in desperate situations, repaired the core, and reverse-engineered her fixed modules. Eve's voice was firmly cut from the logistics communication, and her fingers were flying in the projection of her beautiful eyes to hack into the military network. Arthur, data theft. Freya's system vulnerability, noble fixed module overheating fault, I implanted antivirus, Phoenix's energy decreased by 40% in 5 minutes. Her terminal hacker bug penetrated into the core of Phoenix like a silver snake, Freya's holographic face suddenly changed and twisted and screamed, untouchable lawyer. How dare you hack my Karen patent? The wings of the Phoenix mecha trembled, and the light dimmed. The scanning network collapsed, Arthur seized the gap, and roared with his thoughts, light mode, quantum microleap. The invisible afterimage of the founder stretched, the residual heat of the engine hummed, and he teleported 1,000 meters away. The sea of fire hit his face, his brainwaves in the cockpit were in severe pain, and his vision was blood red, the core was damaged, and nano self-healing required a quantum crystal stack in the workshop. But the data had been stolen, and the Phoenix blueprint emerged in his mind, the fixed module spine was too rigid, the steering was delayed by 0.3 seconds, and the weakness was the heat exhaust port on the back of the neck. Kevin was pulled back to the wrecked ship by the rescue, gasping for communication, boss, the Phoenix is coming. My wings are broken and I can't protect you. Shirley's bridge was flushed and excited, and she waved her fists. Arthur retreated to the slum workshop. The entire army is covering it, the council has frozen Karen's assets, and Freya is isolated. The collapse of the border sea of fire intensified, the hooks of the star-devouring beast lords tore the atmosphere, and the green clouds of acid mist fell like a shroud of death. The Federal forward fleet was wiped out, and the soldiers' communication echoed in despair, the mothership is coming. 500 heads, all the belly bags are exploded, we are finished. Arthur's man-machine vision swept across, the adoring eyes of the soldiers on the remaining ship, the poor live broadcast crying for the hero, the glimmer of psychological reversal, damaged data for data, blueprint reverse engineering, Freya's weakness is in hand. This is a breakthrough, strategic layout, counterattack starting from repair. The creator's quantum engine sneaked invisibly while it was cooling, its tail flame was suppressed like a will-o'-the-wisp, and it escaped Freya's pursuit, leaping millions of kilometers and instantly returning to the sky above the slums. The gate of the workshop fortress was opened by the nano-surge, and the steel body crashed down. The rubble on the ground was splashed like an earthquake. Residents gathered around and shouted wildly. A mechanic touched the scratches on the carapace with wide eyes, self-healing silver light. One machine can block the Phoenix and escape without a body. Arthur is amazing. Core damage. Quantum spine cracks, the noble module is destroyed in one hit, their blueprints are awesome. Arthur popped out of the fusion cabin, enzyme fluid dripping down his cheeks, his head was so painful that it felt like it was splitting. He ignored the surroundings, the terminal projected the flying Phoenix blueprint, and he clicked his fingers wildly to reverse engineer. The heat row on the back of the neck strengthened the nanoworm targeting, the steering delay algorithm was reversed, and the module switching simulation predicted the trajectory of the feather blade in 0.1 seconds. Eve rushed to hug him, her beautiful eyes flashing with tears. Arthur, your brainwave waveform is messed up, nerve damage, rest. But his eyes were like steel, and he whispered calmly, no, the border has been lost, and the parliament is in turmoil. Shirley, tell the whole army about the weakness. Kevin, repair the wing panels, and retrain the chain escort. The workshop was brightly lit, with piles of quantum crystals pouring down like hills, clouds of nano-insects devouring core cracks, repair humming vibrations in the air, and veins of thick steel bodies roaming with silver light. Kevin took apart the wings and gasped, boss, counter-engineering Phoenix. The poor counterattack the nobles, it's so exciting. Shirley's holographic projection added the crisis with a livid face. The insider in the military has been exposed. Sharon controls half of the parliament. The truce condition for the Empire's main ship is to hand over Arthur's blueprint. The Freya family is behind the scenes. Political conspiracy has emerged. Her words stopped abruptly. The communication broke out the emergency hologram of the parliament. The fat speaker's face turned pale. General Quarren has rebelled, and the border has been lost. Arthur, the parliament summons you. Freya's sinister laughter burst in. Poor people, the blueprint belongs to me. The universe bows down to Quarren. Arthur's fingers paused, and the game in his mind was like a storm, the political battlefield. The ironclad evidence of collusion is in hand, and the time to counterattack is here. The piles of quantum crystals in the workshop fortress are turbulent like blue volcanoes. The cloud of nano-insects buzzes and swallows the cracks in the creator's spine. The veins of silver light run along the 40-meter steel body. The repairing heat wave distorts the air, and the gravel on the ground trembles like a heartbeat. Arthur's fingers were flying on the holographic terminal, and the virtual simulation of the reverse-engineered Phoenix blueprint was spinning like a storm. The lipstick dot on the hot exhaust on the back of his neck flashed, and the steering delay trajectory prediction curve was perfectly ahead of 0.1 seconds. Although his brain waves were chaotic like electric arcs, his eyes were like tempered steel blades. Eve hugged his waist tightly, her beautiful eyes were still wet with tears, and her voice was trembling but firm. Arthur, overloading the neuroenzyme fluid will burn out the brain. Hold on to the council call first. The irrefutable evidence of Karen's rebellion has been spread throughout the galaxy. Kevin's thick arms dismantled the wings of the Thunderbolt II, and the acid mist residue corroded the metal. He wiped his sweat and laughed wildly. Boss, the energy of Phoenix's broken bird has weakened, let's push it back and finish it. It's an iron target. But 500 Imperial motherships are pressing down on the capital, and the live broadcast is red. Shirley's holographic projection face was ashen, her military uniform epaulets were flashing, and she punched the void. The colonel ordered the entire army to cover the slums. The fat pigs in the Congress were scared to death. General Karen personally led the conservatives to block the capital's air defense network. The countdown to the explosion of the alien planet's belly bag has turned hundreds of millions of civilians into cannon fodder. The huge screen of the slum live broadcast suddenly switched, and people all over the galaxy gasped. The atmosphere of the capital planet was torn apart. The Star Eater mothership dived like a black hole monster. 500 aces with 50-meter hooks surrounded it. The green acid mist in the abdomen suddenly poured down like the clouds of death, and the skyscrapers melted, turning like a candle. The explosive fireball engulfed millions of hover vehicles, and the screams echoed in the vacuum. Oh my God, the main gun of the mothership is recharged. The Federal fleet is completely destroyed, and the noble air defense net cannot stop it. An old woman hugged son Jean and knelt down on the street of the poor, her tears mixed with the dust. Hero Arthur, the capital is over, we poor people will be cannon fodder forever. The Parliament Hall was in holographic chaos. The fat speaker slapped the table with a sallow face and yelled, "Karen, you traitor! Freya blocked my summons." The conservative general sneered with a gloomy projection, "Speaker, blueprint for the poor. Unstable, alien truce conditions, hand over Arthur's patent, the Karen family can protect the galaxy." The live broadcast across the galaxy exploded, "A noble traitor. Arthur saves us, the creator is invincible. It's over, the belly of the mothership exploded, and the capital was wiped out." The workshop alarm blared, and Shirley's projection distorted, "Emergency." The main gun of the mothership locked on the Parliament Tower, the energy peaked at 200%, and the 300 federal remnants were wiped out. "Arthur, you are the only hope," the Parliament is calling live, leading the team to fight back. The nerve pain in Arthur's brain was like the bite of 10,000 ants. He pushed Eve away and jumped into the biological fusion cabin. The acid mist captured at the last border adapted to the coating and was implanted in reverse. The robotic arm of the workshop roared and stretched, grabbing the mountain of quantum crystals and pouring them into the chest of the creator. The nano-insect cloud surged and swallowed up the fragments of the alien hook claws. Green and black veins appeared on the surface of the steel body. The engine roared like a beast waking up. The repair progress surged, the damage was reduced from 27% to 5%. The quantum spine flashed with silver light. The third-generation upgrade was unlocked, Starburst mode, all modules synchronized, integrated with the alien acid mist backlash plus Phoenix prediction algorithm. The residents watched with wide-eyed eyes. A young mechanic's legs were weak and his voice was trembling, third generation. The green and black coating is self-devouring acid mist, and the engine sound is like a star swallower. Arthur alone is defying the sky, and the blueprint of the aristocracy is turned into scrap metal. Kevin roared into the second-generation cockpit, and the wing panels were healed by nanometer surge. "Boss, the Thunderbolt is in place to attack that bitch Freya." The third-generation steel body of the creator stood up with a bang. The 40-meter-thick behemoth engine exploded and shattered the workshop dome. The ground cracked like an earthquake. The blue-green ghost flames of the tail flames flew hundreds of meters into the sky. The anti-gravity core pulse distorted the gravity field and levitated into the air. Arthur's vision is fully opened, his nerves are unified like a god descending from him, and his mind is undercurrent. The capital is in flames, hundreds of millions of lives are in ruins, Sharon colludes with the Empire, Freya blocks the blockade. First destroy the mothership, then kill the traitors. Attack. Kevin protects the left wing, Shirley's fleet suppresses the convoy group, and the whole army broadcasts live broadcast, blueprint for the poor, killing the gods. Eve's terminal fingers danced wildly, hacking into the Parliament network. Her beautiful eyes were firm. "Arthur, I blocked Karen's communication, and the patented ironclad certificate is uploaded to the entire galaxy." The soldiers on Shirley's bridge shouted in unison, and a gunner roared in tears, "Colonel, the third generation of creators, the green and black steel god, the savior of the Federation." The quantum leap tore through the void, and the creator teleported over the capital. The engines roared like cosmic thunder, and the blue-green tail flames cut through the clouds of acid mist. The live broadcast screens in the slums flashed, and billions of eyeballs in the galaxy stared. An old miner jumped up and smashed the ground. "Here it comes." 3 generations of alien fusion, the sound of the engine penetrates the brain. The noble air defense network cannot stop it. In the sea of fire in the capital, 300 heads of the star-devouring beast escort group swooped, and green mist sprayed out from the belly bag. The wreckage of the fighter plane was transformed into a wreckage, and the Federal soldiers screamed in despair in the cockpit. "The main gun of the mothership is charged at 90%, we are finished. Where are the poor heroes?" The golden-red shadow of Freya's Phoenix mecha swooped down to block it, her holographic sinister smile twisted. "Arthur, third generation. Fusion of junk alien debris, fixed quantum blade to kill you like a pig. The phoenix wings spread out, with 40% energy reduced, barely bursting out, and the golden-red death light swept towards the creator's shoulder armor. But it's too late. Arthur roared in his mind, starburst mode, all modules synchronized. The integration of the 3 generations of the creator's human and machine is as smooth as water, the nano interface is hot-switched with 0 delay, the lightweight high-speed teleport dodges the feather blade, the green-black coating backfires the acid mist and corrodes the phoenix heat platoon, the weakness of the back of the neck is predicted and locked in 0.1 seconds, and the multi-target AI red lock flashes 300 escort beasts. The engine roars deeply and upgrades violently, the quantum core of the chest explodes the blue-green star ring, all modules synchronize pulses, the fortress heavy artillery, invisible blade wings, and acid mist spray are integrated, and the plasma starburst beam evaporates into the void like a small sun. Explosive fireballs engulfed the convoy group in a chain. The abdominal bags of the hook-claw ace burst out and green blood poured down like rain. The fragments of the body melted into iron rain and fell into the sea of fire. The shock wave rolled up the atmosphere. The survivors in the capital stared wide-eyed. A girl's soldier cabin internal trembling, star burst, 300 heads instantly evaporated. The creator of the steel god, the blueprint is invincible, Arthur has killed the god. The whole galaxy live broadcast barrage went crazy, exciting. The poor counterattack, the nobles kneel and lick. The mothership panicked, the main gun deflected. Kevin Thunder 2's wing panels were fully healed, the engine roared and flanked Freya, the heavy artillery plasma tornado smashed into the golden-red carapace, the quantum traction of Shirley's fleet suppressed it, and the rain of missiles rained down, plans her attack. Force her to be exposed. Freya Phoenix turned and exposed with a delay of 0.3 seconds, the feather blade swept away, the fixed module overheating fault flashed red light, she screamed the communication, Karen, reinforcements. The 3 generations of poor people predicted my blueprint. The conservative fleet hesitated, and the internal communication of the soldiers trembled, Admiral, 300 of the founders were evaporated in the starburst. We made a mistake in betraying the country, and the Quarren family is finished. Shirley yelled, the traitor was exposed, the whole army turned to fire. Kevin smiled crudely in the communication, boss, the back of the Phoenix's neck is breathing fire, let's join hands to kill it. The behemoth mothership roared and dived, the green light of the main gun was charged to 100%, the 500 remaining heads in the belly bag exploded and the acid mist covered the capital. Hundreds of millions of people screamed and fled, and the remaining skyscraper towers collapsed like mountains. Arthur's brainwaves are burning, his nerves are at the limit of unity, and his psychology is reversing and exploding, the fate of hundreds of millions is at stake, the blueprint for revolution, and the dominance of the poor. Ultimate starburst, jump to the core. The overloaded roar of the 3rd-generation engine of the creator shattered the sound barrier, the quantum microleap instantly penetrated the escort residual fog, the green and black blades spread out for 100 meters, and the fused alien hook claws sprayed acid mist to corrode the mothership's outer shell. All modules in the chest erupted simultaneously, the plasma star ring was like a black hole vortex, swallowing the main gun port and drilling deep into the belly bag. The implosion chain is like the collapse of the universe. The 50-meter steel body of the mothership twists and explodes into a sea of green blood and fire. The shock wave sweeps away the remaining groups. The acid mist over the capital dissipates and the sun pierces the clouds. The whole galaxy live broadcast was silent for 3 seconds, and then exploded and shouted, "Sink! Arthur saves the galaxy, hero of the Federation." The fat speaker of the parliament burst into tears and slapped the table, "Sink! Arthur saves the galaxy, hero of the Federation." Residents of the slums danced wildly in the street, and a mechanic knelt down to worship. 3 generations of star explosions, 1 person evaporated 500 heads, and the nobles will be cannon fodder forever. The lieutenant in the soldier cabin held his head and cried, "Poor genius, God is invincible. We are alive, Count. Billions of people are reborn. Shirley's bridge flushed with excitement, and she punched the table. Arthur, Marshal of the Council. All Karen's assets are gone, Freya. But Freya's phoenix wings were broken, her energy collapsed by 40% and overheated. She smiled sinisterly and jumped to escape the afterimage. Arthur, this is not the end. Karen's last trump card, assassinate you. Kevin chased and roared, chase. That bitch ran away. Freya's chest heaved with anger, and she turned to the reviewer. No. The application was suppressed by Quarren. There is an urgent additional hearing, and I will challenge it myself. Use my quantum mecha to face off against your modular prototype on the spot. Her eyes were like poisonous flames, and the hall was dead silent. Kevin grinned, come on. Eve's face turned pale, and Arthur stood up with a cold smile, okay. Miss Freya, prepare to lose. Kevin hit his chest with his fist and roared, come on. Boss, let the universe see the thunder of the poor. Eve held Arthur's hand tightly, and Shirley's communication sounded an emergency message. The fleet signal is strengthened, the alien Empire mothership is missing. Over the capital, the residual fog slowly evaporated like green plasma. The 40-meter steel body of the third generation of the Creator was suspended under the dome pierced by the sun. The blue-green tail flames pulsated lowly. The acid mist remaining on the nanocoating sizzled and turned into black smoke. The deep roar of the engine was like the gasp of a star-eater behemoth. Only 5% of the damage to the spine was slowly healed by silver light. The pain of neural integration burned in Arthur's mind like an electric arc. The faces of hundreds of millions of survivors flashed in his field of vision. A psychological undercurrent, victory? No, this is just the beginning. Quarren's century-old conspiracy is like a cancer buried deep in the heart of the Federation. The holographic giant screen of the Parliament Tower flashed with the award of honors. The fat speaker's sallow face was stained with tears. His voice shook the world through the live broadcast. Archer, the Federal Marshal. The genius of the poor slays the gods and saves the galaxy from fire and water. The whole galaxy erupted like a volcano. The Marshal is invincible. Shirley's livid face contorted on the bridge. She punched the holographic platform, her military uniform epaulets flashing like sparks. Marshal, Karen's assets are frozen, but the conservative fleet of 300 ships blocked the outside of the Parliament Tower. Freya escaped by leaping, and the remnants of the aristocracy are still spreading rumors. Poor people, the mecha overloaded and self-destructed, and hundreds of millions of corpses piled up in the mountains. Kevin's Thunderbolt 2's wings were completely healed, and the engine roared as he circled to pursue the afterimage. He clenched the joystick with his thick arms and yelled through the communication, "Boss, the Phoenix's broken bird's energy collapsed and its wings were broken due to overheating. I'll catch up and kill it." The workshop alarm sounded, the assassin sneaked in, and the nano warehouse was hacked. The slum live screen switched to the workshop screen. The quantum crystal mountain range was pulsating, the shadow assassin was moving like a ghost, the laser dagger under the black robe was shining coldly, and it was heading towards the core blueprint terminal. A young technician, his legs weakened and he fell to the ground, his voice trembling, "Assassin. Death of Quarren, the quantum crystal is going to explode. Second Lieutenant Kevin, come back quickly, the workshop is over." People across the galaxy gasped, and an old miner smashed the ground and cursed, "The nobles don't give up. The Marshal just saved the capital, and he started to do something evil." With a flash of thought, Arthur's third-generation quantum spine of the Creator exploded, and the pain in the brainwaves was pushed to the limit. He shouted in the communication, "Kevin, get back on defense. Shirley suppresses the conservatives, I will descend directly to the Parliament Tower." Eve, the evidence is on the chain, live broadcast across the galaxy. The biofusion cabin's enzyme liquid boiled and wrapped around the body, the human-machine link beat like a second heart, the Creator's engine roared thickly and shattered the sound barrier, the anti-gravity core distorted the air field, and the blue and green tail flames flew into the sky like a comet falling, jumping straight to the Parliament Tower square. The ground was cracked by the earthquake, and the 40-meter-long shadow of the steel body enveloped the golden-domed hall. The nanofeet crushed the marble, and the acid mist backfired and corroded the coating of the noble seats. The surrounding soldiers stared wide-eyed. A lieutenant in the cabin, his knees weak, murmured, "The Marshal surrenders." The sound of the engine pierces the soul, the green and black steel gods are overwhelming, and the pigheads of the parliament are pissing their pants. The fat speaker of the parliament faced off with the conservatives. The Quarren projection smiled sinisterly. "Arthur's blueprint is only for military use. Our Quarren family has been monopolizing it for hundreds of years. Invented by civilians. Cannon fodder talks in dreams. Alien technology is exchanged for patents, and peace in the galaxy." Eve's fingers at the terminal in Eve's workshop danced wildly like a storm, and her beautiful eyes were blazing with fire. She dug deep into the hidden files of the military network, and Monopoly files popped up like viruses. The Quarren family's blueprint for suppressing tens of millions of civilians for 100 years, stealing alien acid mist cores in exchange for the Empire's secret truce, and even implanting backdoors in mechas to allow the Federation fleet to self-destruct. Her unfinished communication rushed into the galaxy-wide live broadcast, and her voice was as firm as steel. "Congress, Karen's ironclad evidence. The Freya family controls the patent office and colludes with the Star Eater Empire. The blueprint is not only for military use, but also for civilian energy monopoly. Billions of orphans in the slums starved to death on the streets, just because their genius blueprints were burned." A holographic projection of documents flashed across the Parliament Tower, and a century-old black account unfolded like a blood book. Burned civilian workshop records, alien transaction videos, and backdoor codes signed by Freya. The fat speaker's face turned from sallow to livid, and he sat down with trembling legs. "Oh my God. Karen has been traitorous to the country for 100 years. Hundreds of millions of civilians have blood debts." The projection of the conservative general was distorted, and his voice trembled. "Fake. The hacker tricks of poor lawyers, Freya will prove it. But it's too late." The quantum traction of Shirley's fleet locked the 300 conservative ships outside the tower. Missiles rained down like the galaxy collapsed, and the explosion fireball engulfed the noble ship. A conservative captain held his head in the cabin and screamed in despair, "Admiral, the evidence is real. Sharon replaced the alien acid mist, the back door of our fleet was activated, the self-destruction countdown. It's over, the Marshal's evidence is solid." Shirley's communication roared, and the entire army turned to fire. "Arrest the corrupt officials. The Marshal is here in person, and all the Sharon followers are arrested." Parliament soldiers rushed into the building. In the hall, shackles clicked around the neck of the fat official, and a patent director knelt down and cried bitterly, "Marshal, spare your life. We burned tens of millions of blueprints," Freya ordered. "Poor geniuses deserve to die." The entire galaxy's live broadcast was silent for 3 seconds, and then erupted into uproar. Slum residents knelt in the street and an old woman shouted in tears. Goddess Eve revealed the shady story. Karen's blood debt, the Marshal's revenge. The soldiers in the lieutenant's cabin trembled with worship. A century-old conspiracy has been wiped out, the poor lawyers are horrified, and the Federation is reborn. In the workshop, Kevin Thunder 2 crashed down. The heavy explosion of the engine shattered the assassin's black robe. The nanoblade wings of the wing spread out like a death scythe. The heavy artillery plasma tornado swept away the shadows. The Death Soldier's laser dagger melted into iron slurry. He smiled roughly and communicated, "Old man, damn, the workshop was defended." The 10 dead soldiers were reduced to meat. The quantum crystal mountain was as stable as a mountain, and the nanoworms swallowed up the viruses they implanted. The technicians looked around and stared at each other. A young man pointed at his steel body with trembling hands. The second generation of Thunder, the wings healed as if they were alive. Second Lieutenant Kevin slaughtered 10 assassins by himself, the patron saint of the poor. In the square of the third generation of Arthur's creator, man and machine turned around smoothly. His thoughts flew around the holographic terminal, and he reverse-engineered the alien residue data in Karen's black tent. The ultimate blueprint flashed in his brain-wave pane. cosmic adaptive armor, nanolayer adaptive to the ever-changing environment, integrating black hole-level radiation shielding, zero-point energy extraction, unlimited power, prediction algorithm upgrade for 0.01 seconds, green and black coating to evolve silver and blue star rings, all modules are eternally synchronized. The mechanical arm stretches from the far end of the workshop, grabs the quantum crystal and pours it into the chest. The nano-insect cloud buzzes wildly, the veins on the surface of the steel body flash, the engine roars and upgrades like the awakening of the universe, the repair 5% drops to 0 instantly, and the ultimate fourth generation is unlocked. In the Parliament Tower, the fat speaker knelt down in worship and kowtowed in tears. Marshal, the blueprint of the fourth generation. The silver blue star ring swallowed up the quantum mountain, the sound of the engine shook the Milky Way. Quarren is gone, and the patent belongs to the poor forever. Shirley's projection flushed with excitement, and punched the void, all the troops are loyal. After 300 corrupt officials were arrested, Freya's remnants of 300 ships gathered at the border and launched a counterattack with a sinister smile. Karen's trump card, the ultimate Phoenix 9th generation, Marshal II. People across the galaxy were in a frenzy, and a girl soldier shouted in tears on a live broadcast, the ultimate armor. Arthur alone. Against the backdrop of 100 years, the nobles kneeled in despair. But the shadow of Freya's communication rushed into the Parliament's live broadcast. The projection of her golden and red armor was distorted, her face turned from pride to pale, her voice trembled and she regretted, Arthur, the blueprint has been completely leaked, and our family has been monopolizing it for 100 years, burning tens of thousands of blueprints and selling them. The country changes technology just to make the Phoenix invincible. But you, the poor and the lowly, the fourth generation of star rings? Karen's trump card is activated. I gather the remaining nobles' 300 ships, pilot the 9th generation of the Phoenix, the fusion of the mother core of the Empire, the superposition of 9 fixed modules, infinite energy, and the decisive battle at the border. Arthur's eyes were like tempered steel blades, his nerves were united into an extreme sneer, and he felt a surge of psychological joy. A century-old cancer has been eradicated today. The fourth generation engine of the Creator roared and shook the dome of the tower. The silver-blue tail flames flew thousands of meters into the sky. Anti-gravity distorted the gravity field of the square. The steel body soared into the air. Freya, the era of aristocracy is over. The entire army assembles at the border, blueprint for the poor, and dominate the universe. Kevin roared in place, Boss, Lei Ting will accompany you and kill the 9th generation. Eve's beautiful eyes were firm, and the terminal hacked into Freya's system to implant the attenuation virus. Arthur, you and I. Shelley's fleet missiles fired in unison. Marshal, the countdown to the decisive battle is 1 hour, the Phoenix 9th generation engine is recharged, and the border void is torn apart. Eve's terminal flickered in the workshop logistics projection. Her beautiful eyes suddenly widened, her fingers dug deep into the hidden files of the military network, and she whispered with a pale face, Arthur. Behind the patent, the Quarren family has a monopoly on documents. They have controlled the Federation for hundreds of years. The blueprint is not only for military use, but also. Before she could finish her words, the communication entered a mysterious shadow. Miss Lawyer, Freya's assassination has been launched. The void at the border is churning like a sea of ink, and black clouds are pressing down on the 300 noble remnants. The low roars of the engines merge into a symphony of doomsday. Freya's 9th generation 50-meter-long golden-red behemoth floats in the center. The mother core pulses like a heart-sucking stardust. The 9-fold feather blade superimposes the death light to sweep away the surrounding debris, and the twisted space is born. There were red cracks, her projected face twisted into madness, the pride of her aristocratic blood shattered into poisonous resentment, and the shrill laughter echoed throughout the channel. Arthur, do you think you will win by exposing the black account? Karen's trump card, the Imperial Mother Core virus. The backdoor of all federal mechas is activated, paralyzing and self-destructing, a blueprint for the poor. What a joke, the Milky Way is kneeling at the feet of the 9th generation. After saying this, the remaining fleet fired green and black virus fog bombs, and the nano clouds rushed into the Federation fleet communication network like living poisonous insects. The engine of Shirley's flagship suddenly stopped, and the holographic alarm screamed, "Virus invasion." The fire control system collapsed, and the mecha joints locked. 80% of the fleet is paralyzed. Shirley's face turned pale. She punched the command platform and it shattered into pieces, causing sparks to fly. She communicated with a trembling voice, "Marshal. Karen's traitorous backdoor has really been activated. The century-old implant has turned the fleet into an iron coffin. The soldiers in the cabin are screaming and counting down to self-destruction. We are finished." The galaxy-wide live broadcast switched battlefields, and people's barges collapsed like an avalanche. Virus? The nobles are traitors to the end. No matter how good the fourth generation of marshals is, they can't stop the self-destruction of 300 disabled ships. Freya is crazy, the void on the border is torn apart, and the capital is exposed. In front of the big screen in the slums. The old miner smashed his knees to the ground, and cried in despair, "Marshal Gangqin massacred the mothership, avenging a century-old blood debt. Why, the ghost of Karen is still here." Kevin's second-generation thunder wings stiffened and trembled, the nanoblade wings jammed and let out a metallic scream. His thick arms pinched the joystick, and his forehead exploded. The blue vein roared, "Boss! The virus burned my AI, the plasma cannon was overloaded, and I couldn't move. Phoenix's stupid bird feather blade swept over, and I became a target." Eve's fingers froze at the terminal of the workshop, and fear flashed in her beautiful eyes. She whispered intermittently through the communication, "Arthur, I'm a plant. The incoming attenuated virus was backfired by the mother core. Freya's personal ambition, she is not a pawn of the family. She has already stolen the mother core to form her own empire. She burned the blueprint just to monopolize the blueprint upgrade. But the virus is too strong and the federal network is paralyzed. Don't be brave." The fourth-generation silver-blue star ring coating of Arthur's creator pulsates lowly in the void, the silver light of the quantum spine swallows the remaining data of the battle, the nerves in the brain are united like thousands of needles burning the soul, the pain is overwhelming but the ultimate sense of pleasure is awakened, a century-old cancer, beheaded today. His mind dives deeply into the core of the blueprint, unlocks the infinite module library in a flash. The God-level AI prediction algorithm scans the virus code stream 0.01 seconds ahead, the black hole radiation shields and distorts the attack of nano-insects. The 0 point can extract the void and infinitely pour into the engine. The thick roar is like the roar of the awakened beast of the universe. The integration of man and machine is smooth and unparalleled, and the anti-gravity field distorts the trajectory of enemy fog bombs. He sneered at the communication, and the blue-green tail flames of the 40-meter steel body were exploded in the live broadcast across the galaxy. Freya, aristocratic ambition. The pauper's blueprint purifies everything. The mechanical arm grabbed the quantum crystal mountain from the far end of the workshop and poured it down. The nanobug cloud buzzed into the chest, the silver and blue star rings spread out layer by layer like a galaxy shield, the virus fog bomb evaporated into black smoke upon contact. The creator was the ultimate awakening of the form, all modules are eternally synchronized. The prediction AI penetrates the blind spots of the ninefold feather blade like a god's eye. The low roar of the engine shatters the rift in the void. The eyes of the surrounding Shirley soldiers are widened. A mecha's hands tremble and murmur, "Marshal, the silver-blue star ring swallows the virus." The sound of the engine pierces the heart, the blue light of the 0 point energy is overwhelming, and the noble fog bombs are turned into ashes. We are paralyzed, and he is a god. Inside Shirley's flagship bridge, her livid face turned red. She clenched her fists and projected a flash, the entire army obeys the order. Upload the Marshal's purification wave and copy the blueprint firewall. Arthur's thoughts flew, and the ultimate fourth-generation spinal silver burst released a purification pulse, like a silver-blue tide that flooded the federal fleet. The paralyzed mecha's joints clicked to life, the fire control system buzzed and restarted, and the virus backdoor was burned to ashes. The soldiers in the cabin cheered like thunder, "Martial God purifies." The ghost of Karen is gone, the engine roars to save lives, and the blueprint of the poor is invincible. Kevin's second-generation wing plate self-healed, and the nanoblade wings buzzed and rotated. He roared with a rough smile, "Boss is awesome. The virus is burned out, my plasma tornado is fully charged, and I will kill the remaining ships." The people in the galaxy reversed the volcano, a miracle of purification. The Marshal self-destructed against 300, and Freya knelt down. The genius of the poor, the patent returns forever, the hero of the universe. In the square of the Parliament Tower, the fat speaker knelt down in worship and burst into tears. His sallow face knocked on the steel floor. The ultimate fourth generation of Marshals, the silver and blue star ring purifies the galaxy. All Kalen's assets are gone, the patent office is reorganized, the blueprint for the poor is released for civilian use, energy modules are distributed for free, and the slums are worth billions. The orphans are well fed, the workshop has been upgraded to a national fortress, and the quantum crystal mountain has an unlimited supply. The soldier lieutenant worshipped the trembling live broadcast, "Look. The Marshal status is super god, the federal marshal is personally crowned, the treasures are pouring into the galaxy, the fusion library of alien mother core residues, and all the secret files stolen by Karen for 100 years are returned to the blue. Map upgrade, unlimited resources pile up." Eve's beautiful eyes were filled with tears, and the terminal hacked into the depths of Freya's mother core, revealing her personal ambitions in a live broadcast. Freya burned her father's blueprint when she was young to monopolize the family, signed a contract to betray the country in exchange for the mother core, and established her own empire, and stole Arthur's data like crazy. After adding 9 generations, her image turned pale and screamed, "No, that is my ambition, the blueprint should be mine alone." Eve whispered in the communication, and her voice was like a warm current injected into Arthur's brain waves, "Arthur, I love you, ambitions are in vain, you gain everything, and the poor counterattack the universe." The void of the battlefield suddenly calmed down, and the Federal fleet engine roared again. Shirley commanded the quantum traction to lock the 300 remaining ships. Missiles rained down like stars and swallowed up the black clouds. An aristocratic captain held his head in the cabin and despaired, "The mother core virus has failed. Marshal Jing, the chemical wave burned away the back door, and we became a target. Miss Freya, no matter how strong the 9th generation is, it can't stop the entire army." Kevin Thunder 2 broke through the defense at high speed, cut off the wings of the frigate with its wing blades, and the plasma tornado flew away the debris. He shouted in the communication, "Boss, plan. Move into position. Shirley suppresses the wings, I'll attack the center, and you go straight to the command ship." Arthur nodded. The 4 generations of the Creator's machine were integrated into one extremely smoothly. The mind prediction AI flashed into the enemy's blind spot, the anti-gravity core distorted the void field, and the silver-blue tail flame exploded. The comet penetrates the clouds and breaks into the remnant formation of the nobles alone. The nano-adaptive armor swallows the acid mist barrage. The black hole shield deflects the death light feather blade. The zero-point energy engine roars endlessly. The mechanical arm scratches the steel shell of a broken ship. The silver light of the quantum spine is poured into the source of the purified virus. Freya's phoenix mother core of the 9th generation pulses wildly, and the 9 golden and red feather blades overlap and sweep. The energy is infinite but slow for 0.01 seconds. Her projected face changes from madness to fear, and her voice is trembling and sharp, "Impossible, a poor bastard, a prediction god." Eyes. The 9 generations of fixed modules are superimposed and invincible. Your module library is unlimited. In the core cabin of the command ship, the noble attendant fell to the ground with his legs weak, and murmured with wide eyes, "Miss." The Marshal's steel body is pressed against the silver and blue star ring, and the engine is roaring and breaking bones. He dodges like a ghost and cracks the bridge with one punch. Our infinite energy, is drained by zero-point energy. Arthur's mind is locked, the creator's giant arm penetrates the deck of the command ship, the nanoworm cloud surges and swallows the remains of the mother core, and the god-level AI uploads the entire module upgrade data. The group of remnant ships exploded and a chain of fireballs collapsed like fireworks. 300 black clouds disappeared into ashes. The whole galaxy was broadcast silently and then violently. The command ship was destroyed. The Marshal slaughtered 300 alone, collected all the treasure cores, and dominated the universe. The aftermath of the void is soothing. The fourth generation of the creator is suspended in the residual mist. The silver-blue star ring pulsates and hums. The engine roars like a song of victory. Arthur's mind is filled with a sense of joy, his reputation is overwhelming in the galaxy, his status as a marshal is eternal, and his treasures are infinite. The Charon Vault is opened, the blueprint for the full integration of alien technology, the workshop of the poor is sublimated into the temple, and the fruits of patents are scattered among hundreds of millions of civilians. Shirley's fleet circled around and saluted, her iron face flushed and excited. Marshal, the border is pacified. The entire army has harvested corrupt assets, the quantum fleet has doubled, and the soldiers in the cabin cried out in admiration, Savior of the poor, blueprint for eternity. Kevin circled and smiled roughly, Boss, the trivial matters have been taken care of, the workshop technicians have piled resources, waiting for you to upgrade to the 5th generation. Eve's projection hugged the steel body, her beautiful eyes were affectionate. Arthur, all ambitions are gone, our universe. In the void at the border, 300 remnants of nobles were like black clouds. The 50-meter golden and red beast of the 9th generation of Freya Phoenix emerged. The mother core pulsed with infinite energy, and the 9-fold feather blade superimposed the death light to sweep away the stardust. Her screams echoed in the communication, Arthur, come. The 9th generation of Invincible, kill your whole family. The whole galaxy switched live broadcasts, and the people held their breath. The final battle, the 4th generation of Marshals and the 9th generation, dominate the universe. The abyss of the void is like a giant beast swallowing the remaining mist. The edges of the border cracks are twisted into red and black whirlpools. Stardust debris hits the metal shell like raindrops, making a low and muffled sound that echoes endlessly. The leap and reorganization of Freya's 9th generation golden red behemoth of the Phoenix was completed. 9 layers of wings on the 50-meter body were unfolded. The veins of each blade wing were like living blood vessels sucking in the fragments of the mother core of the Empire. The torrent of infinite energy poured into the engine. The thick roar shattered the surrounding void bubbles. The red death light swept out cracks in the space. Her projected face twisted into a snake of despair, and the collapse of her aristocratic bloodline turned into a crazy grin. The whole galaxy was broadcast with a shrill voice, Arthur. So what if you slaughter my fleet? The ultimate mode of the 9th generation, the mother core fuses the Empire's star-devouring core, the fixed module 9 layers are infinitely superimposed, and the energy is extracted from the silver black hole in the river. Blueprint for the poor. No matter how fast the module is switched, it can't stop my eternal feather. After saying this, the 9th generation Phoenix engine roared like a doomsday bell, the 9-fold feather blades vibrated, and the death beams danced like red dragons, heading towards the silver-blue star ring of the 4th generation of the Creator, melting into metal droplets along the way. In Shirley's flagship bridge, her iron face was as white as paper. She smashed the holographic projection with both fists, and her voice trembled and intermittent as sparks flew everywhere, Marshal. The 9th generation mother core reorganized, the energy reading exploded, the black hole extracted and suppressed zero energy. The entire army's missile rain could not be locked, the feather blade death light swept the traction field, our quantum the fleet, is in the background. In the soldier's cabin, a lieutenant stared with his eyes wide and held his head, his legs were weak and he knelt down and murmured, Colonel, that monster Phoenix. The ultimate mode is infinitely superimposed, the Marshal's silver-blue star ring trembles in the red light, the engine roar is suppressed, no matter how good the genius of the poor is, he can't stop the century-old card of the noble. Kevin's second-generation Thunder Wing buzzed and tried to attack, but was deflected by the aftermath of the death light. The melted edges of the nanoblade wings were smoking, and veins burst out in his thick arms. He squeezed the control stick and yelled the communication, "Boss." After the virus was purified, my high-speed penetration was stuck. The 9th generation feather blade predicted us in 0.001 seconds. Even if the plasma tornado is fully charged, Shirley can't suppress it, and Eve's hacking fails. We're finished, Freya is going to kill the god. In front of the big screen, the people of the whole galaxy burst into a barrage of despair. The Marshal's miracle purified 300 remaining ships. How can the 9th generation single-handedly defeat them? The fusion of the noble Mother Core Empire is fixed and infinite. With the module poor, the void on the border has become a cemetery. The old miner in the slum burst into tears, the hero just celebrated, and the ghost of Karen was resurrected. Eve's workshop fortress terminal, her fingers frozen and typing on the keyboard, her beautiful eyes flashing with weakness, she whispered the brainwave link. Her voice was like broken ice injected into Arthur's nerves. "Arthur." I revealed my ambitions live broadcast, and the 100-year-old black tent was wiped out, but the 9th generation Mother Core counterattacked and hacked, and the prediction algorithm locked the blueprint firewall. Don't fight hard, jump and retreat. I love you, can't lose. Billions of orphans in the slums crowded around the big screen, and their childish cries echoed, "Brother Marshall, you can eat for free with energy modules, and the quantum mountains in the workshop temple are unlimited, don't let Freya destroy it." The fat speaker of the Parliament Tower knocked his head on the steel floor with a sallow face, and shouted live in tears, "Marshall, the patents will return to the poor forever, the corrupt assets will be lost, the quantum fleet will be doubled. No matter how crazy the 9 generations are, it cannot be reversed." The Founder's 4th generation silver blue star ring hummed and trembled in the red death light, the black hole radiation shield twisted the nano edge and smoked, the thick roar of the zero-point energy engine was suppressed by half a step, the silver light of the quantum spine dimmed, the nerves in Arthur's mind were unified like 10,000 insects biting him, and the pain burned his soul. He was born in poverty, was alone in the workshop for 10 years, challenged the universe with a blueprint, patent barriers, nobles taunted, alien massacre, virus self-destruction. The century-old cancer is in front of his eyes, but he is choked by the infinite energy of the 9th generation. He clenched his teeth and dived deep into the infinite module library with his mind. The prejudgment AI flashed a warning. The superposition speed of the enemy feather blade exceeded the standard by 0.02 seconds, and the fixed module had no weak point loop. Freya's projection enlarged with a ferocious smile. Poor bitch, look at your module switching as clumsily as a pig. 9 generations of man and machine combined into one. Born with aristocratic blood, the engine roars and shatters your star ring. The second wave of death rays swept away, the Founder's giant body rolled sideways into the void, and the nano-adaptive armor melted. It turned into a 10-meter steel plate, and the fragments scattered like a meteor shower. The low roar of the engine was mixed with the scream of metal. The surrounding Shirley soldiers screamed in despair. The Marshal's armor is damaged. The silver-blue star ring is cracked, and the zero-point energy is extracted and sucked back by the black hole. Our hero is going to perish. Desperate to the extreme, Arthur's eyes flashed with coldness. No. The blueprint revolution starts from the slums. The eternal synchronization of modules is not an escape, but a rebellion. The brain waves are overloaded to the limit, the god-level AI algorithm evolves by itself, and the hidden module is unlocked 0.001 seconds ahead. The remnants of the alien Mother Core are fused with the Void Devourer. The thought was like electricity. The 4th generation engine of the Creator suddenly went silent, the silver-blue star ring shrank into a black hole singularity layer by layer, the nanoworm cloud around the body buzzed wildly, the zero-point energy reversed and extracted the energy of the 9th generation black hole, the anti-gravity field distorted the trajectory of the red death light, and the feather blade swept out only Mars. Freya's projection pupils shrank suddenly, and her voice changed from a ferocious smile to a shrill voice. What? The module library swallows the mother core. Impossible, fix the 9-layer infinity, you poor man. The engine roared thickly and revived, like the awakening roar of a cosmic beast. The quantum spine of the creator's giant arm exploded with silver, the integration of man and machine was smooth, and the tail flame blue-green comet sprang out, counterattacking the 9-generation blind spot. Shirley Bridges' iron face flushed, her eyes rounded, and she smashed the projection with her fist and shattered Mars. Look at the whole army. The Marshall star ring shrinks inward and swallows the black hole, the engine roars to shatter the void, the 9th-generation feather blade deflects, and the red light melts his own shell. Blueprint for the poor, God-level evolution. Soldier the lieutenant stood up with weak legs and shouted in admiration, Colonel. The prediction is 0.001 second ahead, the module is eternal and infinite, the noble is fixed and clumsy as a turtle, we are resurrected all because of him, the Marshal is invincible. Kevin's Thunder 2nd-generation wing panel self-healed, and roared with a rough smile, old it's awesome. The Void Devourer module, the 9th generation of energy is sucked back. My plasma tornado follows up and attacks the killing bird. Eve's terminal fingers fluttered, her beautiful eyes turned to tears of joy, and she whispered to her brain, Arthur, you have grown up, you are a poor genius who is against the universe, I will never stop you. Accompany you. The entire galaxy's barrage volcano reversed, the devouring magic. The Marshal's ring black hole counterattacked, and the energy of the 9th generation was exhausted. The poor counterattacked, the blueprint dominated, Freya knelt down. The old miner cried in tears, the workshop temple will last forever, worshipped by billions of orphans. The climax of the battlefield erupts, the 4 generations of founders are integrated into one, the mind predicts that the 9 generations of feather blades will cycle into dead ends, the nanoclaws of the mechanical arms scratch the golden red wing roots, the 0-point energy pours in and tears away the fragments of the mother core, and the buzzing insect cloud swallows the fixed module 1 level. The aristocratic attendant in Freya's cabin held her head and screamed, Miss. The Marshal's claws penetrated the wings, the energy was drained infinitely, the 9 stacks collapsed, the engine was clumsy and jammed, and the aristocratic unity was as slow as mud. Her face was pale and twisted, and she pressed the control frantically, but it was 0.01 seconds late. The death light swept away, the founder's tail flame exploded and flashed sideways, and the star ring in the chest released the second wave of purification pulse, hitting the mother core. The golden and red body of the 9th generation phoenix trembled, its feather blades peeled off like a dead phoenix, the engine whined intermittently, the black hole energy reversed and burned the core, a chain of fireballs exploded in the void rift, the noble attendant stared wide-eyed and finally murmured, Marshal, the blueprint module is invincible, our infinity, becomes nourishment. Freya's projection collapsed and she screamed, No. My ambitions and blueprints should be mine alone, ah. The 9th generation behemoth exploded into golden red debris, and all the mother core fragments were swallowed up by the star ring, and the void on the border returned to death. The 4th generation of the creator is suspended in the center of the residual fog, the silver blue star ring pulsates in victory, and the engine roars like a hymn to the universe. Arthur's mind is filled with an extremely refreshing feeling, from the lone lamp in the slums to the patent counterattack, the blueprint subverts the monopoly, purifies viruses, slays alien stars, kills nobles, and grows into the god of the galaxy. Shirley's fleet circled around and saluted, her iron face flushed with excitement, Marshal, the universe is peaceful. The entire army is loyal, the quantum fleet is invincible, and the soldiers in the cabin worship the eternal oath, blueprint savior, hero of the poor. Kevin circled with a rough smile and embraced his wings, Boss, the 5th generation upgraded resource mountain is waiting for you, brothers will always follow. Eve projected the steel body affectionately and hugged the steel body, with tears in her beautiful eyes, Arthur, our universe started from the poor and will never be immortal. But deep in the void rift, the afterimage of Freya Phoenix's 9th generation jump emerged, and the golden red giant beast's feather blade reorganized. Although the mother core was broken, it echoed with wild laughter, Arthur, the fleet is dead. Let's challenge it alone. The ultimate mode of the 9th generation, kill your poor people. In the square of the Parliament Tower, the fat speaker led the crowd to kneel down and kowtow with his sallow face. Marshall dominates. Patents are released for civilian use, the quantum of the workshop temple is permanently provided, hundreds of millions of poor people rise with food, corruption is wiped out, and the Federation is reborn. In front of the big screen in the slums, old miners led the orphans and shouted in tears, "Marshall, the fruit of the blueprint, our home." After silence, the whole galaxy was broadcast, and the barrage continued. The genius of the poor draws his own divine map, and counterattacks the universe. But deep in the void, new rifts quietly bloomed, and the shadow of the alien empire's ultimate star-eating mothership emerged, and the unknown roar echoed, "Federal hero?" The true core of the empire, coming to the galaxy. Arthur's star ring flashed slightly, and his mind locked. New battlefield, the blueprint continues.